Well, a very good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Flight Deck 2 Sim live stream. Today, 15th of December 2018. Christmas is just around the corner, and there's no better way than doing that than a special flight to go see Santa Claus at the North Pole in Lapland. Today is a VATSIM event going on. I think it's incredibly busy on the network at the moment, but we're going to go mix with the guys and do this flight from Oslo. So we're ticking off pretty much all the Scandinavian countries. Take off from Norway, Oslo, flying over Sweden, landing in Finland. Sorry for any Danish guys there, but we'll go to Denmark at some point very soon. I hope you're all very well. See some familiar faces in the stream. Kathleen Beeger, and I see a few other members that have come up recently too. See Tim Fraser's here. Mario Trip beats all the usual faces here as well. So before we get going, thank you very much for all joining, and we'll just jump into the aircraft pretty much straight away. So here we are in Oslo. It's a typical Norwegian day. It's -7 degrees, light snow, freezing conditions, very likely to need to be de-iced in these sort of conditions, but we're going to kind of simulate the fact that we've already been de-iced. But we will operate the aircraft in freezing conditions, so we're going to taxi out with the flaps up, extend the flaps at the hold point, check the holdover times. We'll do a static run up on the engines just before we take off, so kind of replicating some of the winter procedures we do there. So let's jump into the flight deck. Now the aircraft is pretty much set up, ready to go. Just want to discuss, as I always do, the kind of routing we're taking, the SID we're flying, some of the precautions we'll be taking today. Just realised I forgot to set V2, which is 149 knots. And yeah, flight time will be in the region of, I think it's just under an hour and 30 minutes or so. And I've been told by a lot of people when they did this event on VATSIM last year, they had to hold for about 25-30 minutes, so we're taking a lot of extra fuel. And I kind of need to be gone by about 8 o'clock local time in about 3 hours, because I'm actually going to work today in a simulator to help a friend who's just rejoined the company I work for. So we're going to do some stuff in the simulator. So yeah, we might have to push ATC to get landed on time. Now, the only other thing before we get going as well, I always try to stream live time, but I get a lot of messages saying, Flight Deck Sim, we don't mind if you stream so we can do it at daytime. So actually the local time in the simulator is 8 hours before local time, so it's 9 o'clock in the morning in Oslo in the sim, but obviously right now it's 5 Zulu, 17 Zulu, so we're running 8 hours behind schedule. But that's just so, you know, daytime we can enjoy the scenery a little bit more. Not that you'll see much today in these sort of conditions. Wicked. So here's the flight plan then. The block fuel required is 6524. We've taken an extra 1,200 kilos on top of this due to the wintry operations in force in Oslo, both at our destination as well, Rovaniemi, which I hope I pronounced that right, in the North Pole. It's pretty wintry down there, plus to allow for some extra for holding too. And our routing today, taking off the northerly runway in Oslo, runway 01 left, quite a short taxi for us, and then we'll be taking off towards the Norwegian-Swedish border, over Sweden, and then we enter Finland at the border here, and then that's our destination. Please tell me if I'm pronouncing this correctly. I think it's called Rovaniemi, but I'm useless at pronouncing anything, as most English people are. So that's the routing. Show you where we're parked. Go here to airport. We are in front of the civilian terminal here on stand 14. So I don't know if there's any ATC here at the moment. We're going to push back to face west, and then on the Golf taxiway we'll go via Golf on Echo or November, and then we'll taxi to holding point Alpha 1 or Alpha 2. I've actually done the performance from Alpha 3. Now, the actual runway conditions in Oslo right now, it's covered in slush, apparently, according to a SNOWTAM. So I've done the takeoff performance based on a contaminated runway in slush. So that's basically reduced our V1 slightly. You see here, the predicted V1 is 142, but this is 127, and that's because the runway in reality would be contaminated. I am using active sky weather, so it is all correct, but I don't think the runway is actually contaminated or modelled in any fact. I thought we were about to get hit by a truck there. But yeah, that's something to talk about in a tutorial perhaps in the future. So that's the taxi routing, and the SID is called the Nuvsa 4 Alpha. Alright, so the routing here on the Nuvsa 4 Alpha for runway 01 left is we're going to climb straight ahead on 013 track until we get to this waypoint called Golf Mike 436. which is, you can see the active waypoint, Golf Mike 436, and it's a very simply route director, Golf Mike 437, 438, Pimus Nuvsa. It's an RNAV SID, and we can expect initial climb clearance of 7,000 feet, so we've got 7,100 feet there. But it's an RNAV SID, there's no need to tune any nav aids. You've probably put the ILS on standby as well. Infinite Flight Mad Towers on frequency 118.3 in Oslo. That's fantastic, thanks for the heads up on that, so we'll get his clearance from there if he's online, or if there is no delivery frequency. Right, so that's discussed the routing, we discussed the SID, discussed where we're parked. The only other thing on the setup here, you'll notice that I've got the probe heat on. That's because it's -7, light snow. You know, in freezing conditions we put the probe on pre-flight as opposed to during the normal before taxi flow there. Cool, so looking at a few of the comments here, someone's putting in the routing, yeah, you can see there, and Kathleen shared the METOR, thank you very much. Yeah, what is it now, 0303 knots, light snow, overcast 1031 for the QNH, so it's all looking pretty inclement, but we'll just get the ATIS anyway so we can get the information copied for when we get the clearance. So that's the frequency there, let's have a good listen.
0, mandatory speed 180 knots at final approach point.
So 180 on final.
Wind 0, 30 degrees, 3 knots, variable between 360 and
Light
060 degrees, visibility 7 kilometers, light snow, overcast 1,300 feet, temperature -1, dew point -8, QNH 1031, tempo, visibility 4,000 meters, light snow, broken 800 feet, acknowledge information Bravo on first contact.
So information Bravo.
This is Oslo Gardermoen, information Bravo, time 1650, expect ILS approach.
Perfect, so we've got all the information we need. Now the most significant part of that weather is the snow, the fact we're in freezing conditions. Visibility's okay today, 7 kilometers or so, but we take all these precautions in real life for icing, taking everything very slowly. We're going to do the checklist. I'll be doing the checklist for freezing conditions as well, but apart from that, everything's good. So we'll just double check the frequency to get our clearance. We're in Echo November Golf Mike, and you said the tower is there, yeah, 118.3, excellent. So we'll get him tuned up. Put that here, and we'll get the clearance from this chap here. Cool, that's approach there, so I'll put that on standby there. Some of the comments here.
Actually, we are ready for pushback there.
Some few people ready for pushback. Now, one thing I don't know to do here, I mean, in Oslo they do remote de-icing here. I'm not going to simulate that so much, so if they ask, do you want de-icing, we'll imagine we've been de-iced on stand and stuff, so we're all good. So the holdover time in these conditions, if you use a thick Type 2 pure fluid, it's about 30 minutes or so, so we should be good. Right, we'll get the clearance anyway, and then we can get on our way. And is it Oslo Gardermoen? I'll try and pronounce it as well as I can. Gardermoen Tower, very good afternoon. Broadsword 01, stand 14, copied information, Bravo QNH 1031. Departure clearance to Rovaniemi, please. I hope that's right.
Broadsword 1, confirm.
Affirm, Broadsword 01.
Broadsword 01, got on target that afternoon. Cleared to your destination Rovaniemi via the NUSA for Charlie departure, 19 left. Initial climb 7,000, squawk 3241.
Okay, so we cleared on the Nuvsa for Charlie for runway 19 left. Climbed to 7,000 feet and the squawk 3241, Broadsword 01. Different runway, guys.
Broadsword 01, read that correct.
Cool, so when you get a runway change like this, number one, it's very frustrating because you have to rebrief the SID, reset up the FMC, and all that sort of stuff. So we're just going to make a note of that. 7,000 feet, and that will delay us ever so slightly, and we'll get the squawk in as well, which is 3241. And what we'll do here, because I've not even looked at this SID, I'm going to select that here. 19 left, Nuvsa for Charlie. I've got that up on my iPad here, and then we'll get it up here as well for you guys. So these things do sometimes happen, but you probably have more of an idea. I just presumed it was this runway. So where is it? 4 Charlie, there we go. So taxi routing. It's going to probably be to be face east now, and 19 left all the way up here. We're going to probably go via these Delta Romeo Zulus, and we'll just get the performance from Bravo 9 or Bravo 8 here. So that's 19 left. So yeah, slightly different routing there. Bloodline coming in for a €2 donation. Let's show Rudolph how it's done. Thank you very much indeed for that tip of donation. Again, you're always tipping and donating on that, so thank you very much. Perfect. So what we'll do, when you get a change of clearance like this, you have to obviously reselect the Sydney FMC. So we need to put raise. Now, how do we do this with the mod? There we go. So we need to select 19 left, Nufsa 4 Charlie, execute, and it should just join all the dots as before. So you can see here, we just check the points are in the FMC as well. And you step through it again with your other pilot, make sure you're happy. So we've got a Golf Mike 604, 444 Vibuk, 604, 444 Vibuk, and then we're going to be going up to Nidim, Lilba, Nufsa. Nidim, Lilba, Nufsa, and then after Nufsa, I think we can just route direct to Edigo. We double check that on the flight plan, but it would be good enough because it still terminates at Nufsa the Sid, but you double check that with ATC anyway. So we could join that up there, execute. We've got the 230 knots below, and because 7,000 feet is our stop altitude, we'll just punch it in here too. Wicked. Now, the only other thing you do, which the mod hasn't actually done correctly, is to redo the takeoff performance. It should delete this. Now, I'm satisfied that the performance we've done is okay. We would never be just do that in real life. We'd redo the performance again to make sure that we're happy that everything's good here. I've got a couple of tips coming in here. Thank you very much. Rainy day today. Coming in with 50 Swedish krona. Have a great flight. I'm watching this with a cup of eggnog in my hand. How traditional. And Tom as well, my good friends, coming in 15 Norwegian krona. So good to see you in Norway finally. Have an excellent flight. So Tom's been pushing me to do a flight from Oslo for some time because he's been helping me for quite a while and supporting me. So he finally got your request in there. Cool. So taxi we're happy with, takeoff performance we're happy with. It's a different runway 19 left. What we'll do now is get the APU started, and then we'll get the pushback organised as well. Now I should think it'll be now pushback to face east as opposed to west for runway 19 left. But we'll keep all the taxi charts and routing up to help us on our way. That's going to be the most detailed one here, but we'll confirm the pushback clearance with Tau as soon as we get ready. Excellent. Mark Story coming in with another donation. 5 CHF on this shock. A mulled wine. On this shock, that mulled wine is served for you. Thank you very much indeed. You always, same guys donate. You don't have to, guys. Thank you very much. CHF, I can't remember what currency that is.
2412, taxi to DI from
Swiss franc. Swiss franc, shouldn't know that, because we went to Salzburg on the last one. Wicked. Okay, so APU starting up. Actually, the APU would more than likely be running, guys, because it's -7 outside. So look at the poor passengers right now. Temperature in the cabin 0. It's probably a lot colder, so they're freezing their tits off back there. Oh dear. APU's on the bus. You'd usually wait a minute to put the APU bleed on, but because they're so cold, we'll put that up there now, and we'd put these all the way up here to warm them up. There'd be icicles coming from their nose at the moment. Excellent. Richie Walsh, how do you change heading in the FMC? Yeah, you can't do that, but you've actually just reminded me. Don't forget, guys, to set the new runway heading here, which is a bit of a threat when they get the runway change, which you can see I've just forgotten there. So the runway heading for this departure is now 193, so the reciprocal 013, and we'll just put that on the courses as well. So yeah, when they change the runway on you, there's a lot of things you have to remember to do, especially if you've already started the engines and taxied out. You have to reset everything, redo the performance, rebrief the SID, make sure you're happy with everything there. Good. Excellent spots. Alright, so, get the GPU disconnected, and I think we're all good to go. You guys are all my first officers, so if I forget anything, please shout up in the chat and I'll try and spot it. Right, disconnect GPU.
19 right, wouldn't Alpha North be more suitable for us?
Perfect.
Austin 2412, later taxi Bravo North. And,
So, so as I said at the beginning of the
shortly
stream, I am using Active Sky. I have not had the time, guys, to fire it up and test it. It seems to be working well. I'm using live weather in the Active Sky plugin. And we'll see how we get along the cruise. And another reason I chose to stream during the day at the moment, so we can see, you know, how it looks visually as well.
Type 1 uniform, clear to take off runway 19 left.
Perfect. So as soon as he gets this takeoff clearance read back, we'll get on our way. If the guy's awake. So jet bridge will be disconnected and all that's actually whilst we're waiting we can get the Buddha pushback sorted. So request pushback.
Captain, let me know where you want this thing.
And hopefully I'll just put connect first initially because I just want to confirm the direction with the tower controller. And we'll put these on intermediate for now. Perfect. We'll get the clearance. It's gone a bit quiet on frequency. Gardermoen Tower, broadsword 01, stand 14, request push and start.
Broadsword 01, push and start approved, QNH 1031.
Push and start approved, QNH 1031. Just to confirm that's to push to face east.
Broadsword 01, the straight push, and that will be facing south.
Straight push back to face south, broadsword 01. Okay, so that's not what I was expecting, but if he wants me to do that, I'll do that for him. But that would be quite interesting because I'll have to go on the Golf 1 gate. But this pushback guy is pretty enthusiastic, but awesome. Right, so we've been cleared for push and start, so put these to... Actually, we'll probably leave them in auto for now to get the cabin warmed up just a little bit longer there. Anti-collision light on, parking brake can leave set, transponder to out off. Right, so we want pre-plan and a request pushback, and he said to face south, so we just want to push pretty much straight back really.
Austin 2412, I will now send you the PDC clearance.
Interesting to face south, but if you want to do something like this, I'm going to do a bit of facing south, so something like that. There we go. See what he says to that.
KLM 51 inform, contact approach 120.
Oh yeah, I think he's just... Has he lifted this up already? I can't remember. I see release parking brake. Well, there's the jet bridge going. Alright, pushback's underway. Awesome. Steve Mayer, do we require window heat? Yeah, you always want the window heat on, yeah, even in normal conditions, but if you didn't have it on now, you know, you could have ice forming on the windscreen. Oh, Martin, they usually push you back in Oslo without turning you. Ah, I didn't know that. I've never flown to Oslo Gardermoen before, guys, so it's all new to me. So probably what we'll do then, we'll cancel the pushback as we get a little bit further away. Right, we'll start the engines now. Start engine number 2. Croaky voice like a teenager. No wonder some people don't believe I'm a real pilot. Squeaking away like that. Right, Ed 2.
So when
the engines are really cold, especially if it's been shut down, it can take some time for the oil pressure to rise, but as long as you get oil pressure, you can raise it there. Why N2's not really increasing quickly there? Oh yeah, that's why, because I've forgot to turn the packs off. As I said, I'm trying to keep the cabin warm. There you go. So yeah, if you leave the packs on, there's not enough bleed air there to get the engine started. There we go, starting to idle detents. There we go. I'd explain 11:30, but I'm not using the experimental flight model. So it's just get the cool particle effects instead. Alright, so what we'll do, we'll stop the pushback here.
6, Mike Lima,
just because I think that's what they want. We'll see what happens. Start engine number 1.
Austin 2412, contact the
Okay, parking brake is set.
Also the Iceman calling when ready, Austin 2412.
Al-Kessi Rastas, why do you blank the loader you after startup? That's because if we have an engine failure or an exceedance in a secondary parameter, it'll pop up, which will really bring it to your attention if you were to have a problem, so that's why we get rid of that information. Cool.
Gardermoen Tower, good evening. Austrian 64 Bravo X-ray, stand 73 with information Charlie.
Exactly as Trip Beats has just answered, very good. Right, disconnect hand signals. Perfect. Starter cutouts.
Confirm us Austrian 64 Bravo X-ray.
Monitoring engine number 1 and 2 is stable. Right, so what I'm going to do now is the flow for the before taxi freezing conditions checklist. Now, depending on what type of fluid you've used, it depends on what for de-icing and anti-icing would choose whether you use wing anti-ice. So if you use a Type 2 or Type 4 fluid, you wouldn't use wing anti-ice, but we're just going to use it on because I don't know if the icing's modelled correctly in X-Plane, so I want to put that on just in case we do get ice, because obviously we're not simulating any de-icing today. Now it's really important then, when you're in freezing conditions like this, if there's no contamination on the wing, we move the flaps all the way to 40. Alright, now when we do this, we carefully observe the indications, because you might not know this, there's actually 2 needles here, there's left and below that is right, making sure there's any splits or anything there, making sure we have correct indications. Now if I'm trying to overhear the active sky guy. Oh, someone pushing back right next to me as well, danger. Anyway, yeah, you can see how you monitor the flaps there. And then once they're at 40, you move them all the way back to up. We taxi to the whole point up. Now, if we have contamination on the wings, we delay doing this until we get to de-ice, the point where we do remote de-icing. But we'll imagine we've already been de-iced and the wings clean, so we'll just do this here. That's about it, really. Once you've cycled the flaps, you then check the normal checks. You check the speed brakes, down detent, the trims set, start levers are idle, detent as well. Then you do the recall check, and then you would read and do the before taxi freezing conditions checklist. The only difference is now the flaps are up. You've got to be really careful that you don't forget to configure them for takeoff. Really, really careful there. Right, so once we've done that, we'll get to the whole point, and then we'll configure the aircraft for departure there. Right, let's get our taxi clearance. Broadsword 01 request taxi.
Broadsword 01, taxi Golf, November, Papa and Sierra, 1.19 left.
Taxi Golf, November, Papa Sierra, whole point 19 left. Broadsword 01. Okay, so we've got our taxi clearance. Let's bring the charts up. Perfect, so we can go here to Golf, and then November's up here. And then from November we're going to go all the way up here. And then we go on to Papa, which is here, and then Papa to Sierra to 19 left down this point there. So it's a bit of a jungly way of going there, but it's the quickest way, I guess, to remember. But it's the wrong way. I guess they have specific routing in the direction you go there. Right. So in that case, I'm just highlighting that on my chart so I know where I'm going. You need to make a right turn, and there's no point doing a config check because your flaps are up, so you would get a config warning in this case. Cool, so off we go to see Santa in Rovaniemi. Perfect, nice, steady route. So yeah, obviously there's no contamination simulated here, but it's likely to be a lot of snow and slush on the taxiways in Oslo. And if that was the case, we'd limit the taxi speed to 5 knots. In all cases, we just move around everywhere at 5 knots. Perfect, so nice and steady. Awesome. And then we are straight on to Golf. Just going to put my wipers onto low. Oh, they're not. Oh dear. Well, my wipers seem to be knackered. I don't know if that's something to do with X-Plane. I wouldn't be very happy going off with that. Anyway. So we go all the way here to the end, and then we get to November. Why is that doing that? I've never seen them do that.
Broadsword 01 from Gardermoen.
Go ahead, Broadsword 01.
Broadsword 01, you'll be given a slot to Rovaniemi, time 1817 Zulu. So I would just suggest you stand on gate, or do you want to stand in present position and shut down, or?
Okay, just confirm the slot's at 17 Zulu, so 45 minutes from now. I've got a slot for 45 minutes.
Let's give in 1817 Zulu.
Okay, copy to 50 minutes. Right, let's just hold position here, and if that's okay for now, and I'll advise you of our intentions shortly. Okay, so guys, so what's happened? Because it's so freaking busy, I've got a slot time of 1817. So this is currently the current time right now is 1727. So that's in 45 minutes. Now a slot, guys, is when it's really congested and they just cannot give you the capacity to get you in there. So they're so busy in Rovaniemi, they just won't allow us to take off, which happens exactly in real life. But obviously I've got the engines running here, slot of 45 minutes. I'm not going to sit here the whole time. If it gets to the point where we don't get an improvement, I'll disconnect off VATSIM and we'll do the flight anyway, which is a bit of a shame. But I'm looking at the VATSIM map here. It is extremely busy at the moment, extremely busy. Yeah, cabin announcement, hashtag. Absolutely. Now, we've got plenty of fuel here, but if it was a slot that long, we'd taxi back on to stand there. We might have to go somewhere else, guys. We won't cancel it, we'll go somewhere else, but that's a real pain.
Station say, yeah.
Right, let me just try and fix these wipers anyway. Taxi.
Runner 6 Mike Lima, you'll be given a slot time 1807 Zulu. Be approximately 35 minutes before you can take off. So give me a heads up approximately 25 minutes from now.
So it looks like what we'll do, we're going to. Well, he's only got a slot for the same destination in 20 minutes. I don't really want to fancy positioning here. We might disconnect. We'll see. We'll see. I'm just going to advise, double check with him later. You wouldn't just hold position right here anyway.
Line up on the left. Line on the left. That's 2412. Marshall 311, go ahead. Marshall 311, you'll be given a slot time 1800 Zulu. We're giving a slot on the hour, so can you expect the 1 hour on the hour?
I can't believe it's that busy in Rovaniemi. So guys, let me know in the chat, what would you like? What would you like me to do? Let me know. Would you like to disconnect, carry on, do a new destination, or we could wait? I don't really fancy. I don't have time to wait on the ground for 45 minutes. Nor I have the fuel, but we'd taxi on to stand. Do this as realistic as possible. How realistic?
Marshall 311. You can taxi into the DI platform the south.
Read Pudding's destination. Oh, sorry, Pudding, I missed your tip, my friend. Sorry. 15 Norwegian krona. Thank you so much for that. Just finished my pilot education and love watching your vids. Also, pretty funny that you depart from my home. Sorry, I missed that there. I think that was just whilst everything was kicking off there. So thank you so much for the donation. Good luck with your pilot training as well. Give me a message on Facebook if you have any questions.
Also be given a slot time 175 Zulu. So I cannot allow you to fly to Rovaniemi before 10 minutes before. That's 45, so that's 50 minutes from now.
What I'm going to do is request that we taxi, at least taxi the whole point, and then if it's still really busy, and
first trip comes out 864
if it's really busy, and then we can just disconnect, go offline, and then do the flights. Pedro is 184 arrivals in Rovaniemi. Jesus, I think it's only got about 7 parking spaces.
It'll be 1745 your slot, so it's 15 minutes from now.
So what I'm going to do is request that we taxi to de-icing B North, which is at the whole point of 19 left, and then we can at least get away from there later on.
Runner 622, you can stand in present position.
Gardermoen.
Austin 2412, contact first.
So I'm just going to request guys to taxi to the whole point, and then if we get to the whole point, it's still not able to do it, we'll disconnect to do the fly anyway, which is a big shame because I know it's a VATSIM event, but I don't want to waste the time anyway.
Charlie Alpha Police Purpose to 19 left.
Tributes, flight deck sim, would you shut down the engine to start an AP in real life? Yeah, probably at a remote point if you're gonna, but you'd be unlikely to get a slot after engine start unless there was some sort of problem there. But yeah, you'd likely shut the engines down on a remote part. Broadsword 01, could we taxi to the de-icing B north, the whole point of 19 left, and shut down the engines there?
Broadsword 01, no problem. Taxi Golf and November to Victor and Sierra Bravo North.
Golf November Victor Sierra to de-icing B north. I would advise you of attention onto there, thank you. So at least we can taxi to somewhere close to the whole point anyway. So we could still do the flight as realistically as possible.
And Austrian 6
We never have anything routine, do we? On our streams, always something kicks off. To be fair, a lot of people messaged me in there and said it would be extremely busy. Extremely busy. As it was last year.
for Austrian 6 for Bravo X-ray.
So we're going to go straight ahead to Golf then November, and then Victor Sierra.
With the information to Kustning of Falklands to Rovaniemi.
Marshall 122 Gardermoen Tower, hello. Clear to Rovaniemi, new stop for Charlie, 19 left. Climb
What we
7000
could
and
do,
squawk to 171.
yeah, we'll see. When we get to the de-icing pad, we'll reassess the situation. We'll see what time our actual slot is. We could change the destination to one of the other destinations on the event. There's 2 others. I'll quickly just bash something in the FMC, we'll go that way. Or we could disconnect from the VATSIM network, do the flight anyway, and we can have a chat with anyone that's watching. But yeah, these things happen in real life, you know, slots and stuff. But usually you wouldn't get a slot that late after the engine start. You just wait on stand. You know, it's most convenient to do, otherwise we're just wasting fuel here. We've got plenty of fuel on board as well, so...
Lufthansa 2 to November, 19 left, clear to land, the wind 030 is T knots.
Clear to land, 19 left, Lufthansa 2 Charlie November.
Cool. Jim Bobbler 33, what a bit of base training for 40 minutes. You want to go do some circuits somewhere? No, we'll go to Rovaniemi or one of the other destinations. But so we're on the November taxiway. We're looking for Victor to make our right turn. Should probably want the chart up here. I wish I had one of these charts in real life to be able to know when to turn. So Victor's here on the right. Perfect. Well, at least we've got the wipers working. Yeah, I've just looked at the VATSIM online map. It's absolutely mental. And I think there's another event going on across the Atlantic as well. Guys flying from, I think it's Boston to Schiphol. So I've never seen so many aircraft on VATSIM.
Question North wanted to contact delivery for 12167.
Perfect. So we're just taking a very casual taxi. Moritz, does the ZIBO have ice simulation? I think with the new X-Plane 1130 it's giving us, or giving ZIBO the option to simulate that. I don't think it's working fully, or if it is, it's a very rudimentary system. We've got everything on just in case there is any form of icing, so I don't want anything to mess around during the stream. But yeah, whether it is or not, I'm not sure. He did mention it on Discord the other day, but I think he'll plan something for it in time. So he gave someone, we had a slot of, I think he said 17 originally to us, 1817, which is 40 minutes from now, but he did give some other people improvements. Now in real life, when you have slots you can get improvements, and slots can also be cancelled, but it's very unlikely to be cancelled because of this VATSIM event today. So we'll ask him when we're there if he's got an update on this slot, and then we'll decide what to do from there. Ghostfire, which weather engine are you using? I'm using the new Active Sky XP. It's the first time I've actually properly used it, guys. So next left will be Sierra, and then after Sierra will be at de-icing point north. So you can see here, this is where we're aiming for. We're going to plonk the aircraft on this bit here.
Your slot has been amended. You're ready to go 1 on lefty within 5 minutes.
Ah, see, someone's got a slot amendment, so we could get an improvement.
Ryanair 622, are you ready now or are you ready within 5 minutes? I need to be ready ASAP, actually. So whenever you're ready, line up on the left.
Perfect. So there's a Ryanair aircraft lining up, so his slot was amended. Fingers crossed that helps
Austrian
us.
64 Bravo X-ray, request taxi.
Austrian 64 Bravo X-ray taxi Romeo and
Perfect. So
Papa
here's Sierra, so we're going to
Holding
take a
on the
left here.
Romeo, Papa, Sierra, holding
Visual
point
pattern can be worth £4.99 tip
Bravo.
donation. Thank you very much, High Flight Sim. Do you dab the brake? Hold on, because I've got to make the turn here, otherwise I'm going to crash. Do you dab the brakes after rotation so the wheels aren't spinning when they retract? No need to dab the brakes on the 737 because it automatically applies the brakes to stop the wheels spinning as they enter. And enter the wheel well there, so there's no need for us to do that. On a light aircraft you would, but we wouldn't. So we're just entering the de-icing pad here just to wait. This is obviously where they would be doing de-icing right now in Oslo. And then we're just going to wait here, and then we'll advise until, you know, we're ready to go. Any improvements,
for coordination purposes,
you know, please advise
the
us.
delivery 121.37.
Perfect.
121.37 från Oslo to 122.
Ryanair 6 Mike Lima.
So you can see, you know, still the threat of having the flaps
121.37.
up. You know, you still got to always remember you got all this stuff to do here. And yeah, when you have a slot in these conditions, you'd really want to be checking the holdover time because it could be the fact that the wing's getting contaminated with ice and slush. But we won't worry about that on our desktop simulator. At Gardermoen Tower, broadsword 01. We're on de-icing B North. Any improvement on the slot to Rovaniemi?
Broward 01, still 18170. I'll give you a heads up whenever it's changed.
Roger, broadsword 01. So it's still 1817, so that's still 37 or 36 minutes from now. Now you can take off up to 10 minutes before your slot, so that would be 26 minutes from now. Now we'll give it another 5 minutes or so. I'm very sure that the Ryanair aircraft departing was going to Rovaniemi. He got his slot cancelled or amended, so it could happen to us. Fingers crossed that we get an improvement and we can at least head on our way. If it gets really bad in Rovaniemi, we can end up diverting or something. Because I've got, what was it, 8 o'clock I need to be kind of done by, so we've still got 2 and a bit hours before we need to finish there. Tom Curtis coming in with another 50 Norwegian kroner. Thank you very much. I kind of feel more sorry for the Rovaniemi approach controllers. Good, they're used to those hot finish saunas. Very, very good. Yeah, I mean, Rovaniemi, I know it gets busy in the winter, very popular with charter airlines all over Europe, but my god, I'm looking at the VATSIM map now and the amount of aircraft coming in there. I mean, how are they going to coordinate that? There's only got about 10 parking slots as well. Perfect. I'll answer some questions anyway whilst we wait here and just see if we get an improvement anytime there. MVR gonna give you up, just signed up for the KLM Flight Academy selection. Excellent, good luck with all of that. By far the most popular question, Howard. What does the ZIBO mod 737 compare like to fly with the NGX in P3D? I personally think it hand flies better. The NGX has all the systems modelled. Obviously, PMDG spent a lot of time bringing that up to scratch. It was a game changer when it was released, but for me, the ZIBO mod it handles and utilises X-Plane 11 a lot better, and it's really fun to be involved on the project to kind of bring it to a kind of really more realistic status and stuff.
Ryanair 62, contact approach 1 to Stella Base 145.
So anyone in the chat, you can see there with the blue YR Lancel, he's a good friend of mine. He's a captain for the airline I work for, a very good friend of mine. So if you have any questions you want to ask a captain, he would gladly answer them. So he's popped in to give me a hand, I think, during the chat, which he very kindly offered to do from time to time. So yeah, you're lucky to have 2 airline pilots with you today. He's a lot better than I am, more experienced anyway. The terrific one, what's your opinion on Active Sky? This is my first proper time using it. I mean, so far I've not really had the ability to test much of it. I think it dampens a lot of the issues X-Plane 11 was having with the the changes in variable winds and stuff. So hopefully that's going to fix that issue. Magic John Sonny coming in with a €5 donation. Thank you very much for that, my friend, for supporting the channel and continuing to invest in content and stuff. Let's have a little look around outside anyway. So this frequency is from Aerosoft. It's Oslo.
Oslo
Gardermoen X, I think it's called. A couple of aircraft there. A lot of aircraft on the standard stuff, and yeah, typical day in Norway, of course. But there's quite a few aircraft on standard. A couple of aircraft there as well. So yeah, as I said earlier, you'd be really questioning your holdover time at this point here, and as I said, you'd be on remote. You'd probably get de-iced just here anyway, remote de-icing. But these sort of conditions with light snow, your holdover time with Type 2 fluid isn't huge. I think it's probably around 30 minutes to an hour. So you'd really want to be checking that for icing. Yankee,
are you able to go within the next 5 minutes?
Why aren't the engines of the 737 perfect circles? That's because a couple of reasons. Number one, the engines are extremely low to the ground. So if they were completely circular, the risk of hitting the pod, if you had any roll there, would be quite high. And the way it's designed is it's flat bit here. It houses all of the accessories. So the accessory gearbox, which powers all the engine hydraulics, the electrics, all these functions which are beyond my knowledge. So that's why it's kind of shaped flat, because the engines are so close to the runway. Perfect. So I'm looking at some other questions. Itati, what are they working on in the ZIBO project right now? I think they're just getting ready. There's been some big changes to the flight model, so Tim's doing that in preparation for the final release of 1130 on X-Plane. So it's been a lot more stable now as well. We've had some issues with some changes there, but I think Tim or Twerkster, who's on the forum at X-Plane, he made some big changes recently, and it seems to have made things a lot more stable.
Austrian 64 Bravo X-ray.
Visual asking Yari Lancel, how do you know me? Well, I'll let him answer that question. We used to live together. We joined the company roughly the same time. Sid Make Studios, there's no lines in between the waypoints on my ZIBO 737. Oh right, I'm not sure what could be causing that. Should be all be there if you got the correct routing information in. Bloodline. I can't remember flying it. Sim checking on the cabin temps, so they're probably boiling. They probably are actually. What is it in there? Yes, it's currently 30 degrees, so they'd be a little bit hot. They'd probably be far hotter than that in the real aircraft if we left it up there. So we'll put it to the standard temperatures now. It's all warmed up there. AUT. How much fuel we got now? 7.5 tons. Still got sufficient to depart safely. We need charts. Let's go to the front page. I can't remember what the block fuel was off the top of my head. Yeah, like 5.4 minimum. I mean, I want some extra anyway, but legally we've got more than enough fuel to depart. Pudding, what is AviTab? AviTab is a function which is made by, it's a plugin made by a chap called Folco, and it works with the EFB and it allows you to view Navigraph charts. So, for example, you can click charts. Oh, charts here. You can load up PDF documents to see different things there. You can click airport and it's linked with your Navigraph charts account, so you can have them all appear here on the EFB just like we have on the real iPad there. James Adul, did you get your command upgrade yet, or are you still a first officer? I'm still a first officer working in the sim. Command maybe soon though. We'll see in the next few months or so, but I'm quite happy with my position.
01, are you ready at 1801 Zulu?
A firm broadsword 01, we're fully ready for departure. Good news, guys.
Broadsword 01, roger. Your departure time would be approximately 1801 Zulu.
That's copied, 1801 Zulu, broadsword 01. So that's, what was the original top? 1817, 1801. That's 10 minutes, guys. I mean, we've waited here long enough. I think what we'll do, we'll wait just to get underway and stuff, just so yeah, we got it there. So yeah, that's some good news at least. Not so long to wait now. No messages on here, private stuff. So what I'm going to do now, I mean, we technically wait at the holding point to do this, but because we're going to get departures shortly, we're going to get the aircraft reconfigured as per the freezing conditions checklist. So we do this at the hold point, and you would usually do this with no delay for departure. So what we'd actually do, we'd now select the flaps for departure.
Northwest 311, contact
So that's going to be flap 5.
06, correction 120.45.
12045.
What's this message got from someone? Tower. Is this like Barney Stinson airplane? I have no idea what that means. I don't know how to send a private message. So yeah, now we check. We've got 5 required, 5 selected, green light. We'd now release the parking brake, and what we do is a quick config check. There we go. Make sure the takeoff config warning horn doesn't sound. Reset the parking brake. Then we now do the before takeoff checklist. But yeah, as I said, we do this with no delay for our departure. No delay for our departure. And then we just got to do the before takeoff checklist again. Stuart Walsh, flight sim, our pilot on the flight over here said he had to delay because of strong tailwinds reducing our flight time. Is that true, or just covering for some other delay? We could be. I mean, we come up with some interesting excuses sometimes, but it's probably genuine though. I mean, strong tailwinds, you know, sometimes the block time, so when you buy a ticket from an airline, it says these are the times, they're usually quite favourable to the fact that the flight time might be slightly shorter. Now, if it's really strong, yeah, I think the earliest you can push back is 15 minutes before your scheduled block time anyway, so it could have been the case if it was the return sector. Could have been the case if it was return sector. Where's Nightbot? He seems quite quiet. Yeah, he is. He should be perking up every 15 minutes or so. I don't know where he is. He did pop up at the beginning of the stream. It seems to be a bit intermittent on my stream. I'm logging into it now, but he should be giving you all the routing information if you want it and all those sort of things. Let's have a look here. So guys, I'm sorry if I'm not being too entertaining. We're not flying much, but I hope you're still learning something at least. Right, it says it's logged in. Nightbot should be working. Let's try command. Hashtag, exclamation mark, ZIBO should work. See if he's working now. Hi Captain Cannon, welcome coming into the stream. How are you? I hope he's all well. So the old Nightbot, we work with him too. We work him too hard, we do. Yeah, he seems to be working now, there we go. So Nightbot 3.3 on X Beta 1, this is the current system I'm using, which is a test version, making a few fixes here. Bacchanator Aviator, what is your field of view? I can't remember off the top of my head. I don't want to do... I think it was 70 or 80. Can't remember off the top of my head. But I'll let you know post-stream. If you drop me a message on Facebook, I'll look it up and stuff. How much fuel have we burnt as well? We left with 7.8, so... Yeah, we've burnt about 300 kilos of fuel, so that's okay. I took an extra 2.4 tons. You'd always have to keep an eye on these sort of things in reality. So we'll do the before takeoff checklist now. Anyway, so config we've checked. Flaps we have 5.5 green light. Stab trim set for takeoff, about 5.3 units set. Takeoff briefing. Paxer and auto bleeds are on. The V speeds are set for takeoff. 27, 42, and 49. We've got V2 set up here. The departure. Oh, it's all changed now. I actually better just review that. It's the Nuvsa 4 Charlie. We're going to climb straight ahead to Golf Mike 604, make a left turn to Golf Mike 444, stop the climb at 7,000 feet, which is set and reviewed. Cabin, we'll imagine it's secure, and the before takeoff checklist is complete to the line. So yeah, we do a PA as well, obviously in reality to explain what's going on. There's been a slot for our departure, and yeah, you probably shut the engines down to save fuel and stuff, but you know we burnt an extra 150, 200 kilos of fuel. It's not a huge amount. It really depends how long the delay would be. James O'Dowd, why is it the lower DU blanked? Yeah, I'd forgotten to do it, so I've just remembered to do that now. It's like I knew that comment was coming.
Runner 6 Mike
Mono
Lima,
Frost, have you
Roger,
been in an
Lima,
emergency? No, I've never been in a
Lima,
full
and
emergency.
Sierra
I've
Holden
never had any
1
serious
left.
situation, never had to call Mayday or a pan yet.
Lima and Sierra to
So
holding
long
point Charlie 1
that,
and
that stays as well.
nothing.
But yeah, we're fully trained to deal with situations as they come.
Gardermoen Tower, North Shuttle 122 at stand for requesting mission start.
Nodule 122, push and start approach. QNH 1031.
Andrea, any chance we're going to see raising runway and stick shake indication on the PFD? No idea. Don't know if that's on ZIBO's plans, but I don't know what the stick shaker indication on the PFD. I didn't even know that existed. That might be an option from Boeing. Not one I'm aware with. Alfie Douglas coming with a £2 donation. Love your work. Why isn't there an MFRA set? That's because I haven't set it. It's not because I forgot. I kind of don't do it out of habit. But yeah, I can set it for you. I've got the OPT up here. 1880, 1880. So yeah, this guy's, don't worry, we wouldn't forget this in real life because we do all the checklist properly. This is the point at which we'd accelerate in the event of an engine failure, and it is cold temperature corrected as well. Now that's something else I need to mention here. You won't see me have mentioned it in my tutorial in freezing and icing conditions. The altimeter on all aircraft has something called cold temperature error. So as reliant as it is and reliable as it is if it's very cold or very hot, it can underread and overread. And when you have a very cold temperature, the altimeter will overread. So if it says you're at 1,000 feet, you'll actually be at about 800 feet. So we have to make corrections to everything looking at a table that's below the MSA. Now, I haven't done that because it's not modelled in X-Plane 11 cold temperature, altimeter error, I believe, so I've not made any of those corrections applicable. But you'll learn more about that if you look online, cold temperature corrections on the altimeter. Onez, really enjoying your videos and streams. Quick question, are you using a left-handed joystick? I'm actually using a right-handed joystick, but I am left-handed, so I'm kind of a bit ambidextrous. I can use my right hand for the joystick. I do use my left, and yes, ergonomically it's not designed for me. It's designed for a right-handed person, but it's not an issue for me personally. I just use it as it is. So what have we been streaming now for? 53 minutes. We've travelled about 400 yards. Not bad, huh? But I hope I'm keeping you entertained answering some questions. What's that? I've got another donation coming in there. BKG donated £2 directly through Streamlabs. Streamlabs, have a safe flight. Well done for preserving with the saturated airspace. Yes, patience is a virtue. Absolutely. Got a message privately. It's looking busy. Yeah, we'll see what happens when we get there. I've got about another 2 hours before I need to kind of get going, so we're all good for now. All good for now. Eunice Boozlefame, what would happen if the thrust lever got stuck during the config check? Crikey. Well, the thrust would obviously increase quite rapidly. I can't think of any reason why it would get stuck. I mean, if it got stuck and the thrust went up and we couldn't close it, we'd shut the engines down. I mean, that's pretty dangerous, but
Runner 6 Mike Lima,
I can't think of any
line up, runway 1
situation
left,
where the thrust levers would get stuck there.
Lining up and breathing more only 1 left by 6 marginal.
Robert Norman, enjoying your video. Is the weather radar working on the ZIBO using active sky weather? Just curious. I don't know. I don't think it's simulated.
01, line up, runway 0, pushing 1 left behind departing.
Behind the departing traffic, line up and wait behind, broadsword 01. Oh, finally, off we go. Can't believe it. So, someone is lining up behind. It's the Ryanair aircraft. We've been cleared to line up and wait behind as well. Perfect. Try and do all the captain and first officer's actions. It's incredibly hard. Perfect. I think I've got everything. So for takeoff checklist below the line.
Runner 6 Mike Lima,
MCP is set,
1
transponder, TRA, strobe lights are on, holding on the landing lights, and we'll do a static engine run-up as well, because it is likely in these conditions that you would have had ice build-up on the fan blade there, and actually if we'd been holding for that long, we'd do a static run-up every 30 minutes anyway, to ensure that any ice build-up was there, removed from the fan blades. So I did the... Obviously, we were planning 01 left for departure, 119 left. The performance is more than sufficient from the full... Well, not quite full length, but it's absolutely fine for this position. Perfect, so he's rolling, and we have been cleared to line up and wait, so we can enter the runway straight away. Brian Howard, evening watching from New Zealand. Good evening to you as well, my friend, and thank you for becoming a member. I didn't realise you'd become a member, so that's awesome.
Approaching 19 left.
So runway, when selecting the system, we can confirm it's the correct runway, and confirm clear to line up away, clear left, clear right. He's rolling, and here we go.
On
Wonderful.
runway 19 left.
Cool, there we go. So as soon as he starts talking, I'm going to stand the thrust levers up to 40, then to 70%, 70% for 30 seconds, release parking brake, then we push toga, set takeoff thrust. Croatia Airlines 345, when will you fly in reality?
Runner 6 Mike
Next
Lima,
flying,
contact
not
Oslo
until
Gardermoen,
Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm in the sim for a few days.
1-0-4-5
Trip Peaks, does the 737 have RAS in real life? Yes, it does. It's an option, and we have it fitted to our fleet. Oh, I actually missed what the frequency was for departure. That would have been quite handy to have noted that. Perfect. Actually, I'm guessing it looks absolutely mental going into Rovaniemi. Just having a look at the VATSIM map.
50, 40, 30.
Who's coming in with the tip there? Iron Wolf donated £10. Thank you so much. Very generous. Safe flight, admiring your work for the flight sim community. Well, you're more than welcome, and thank you so much for the tip and donation there. So that's all goes towards the funding of things, the scenery, the active sky, all that sort of stuff. So I really appreciate that. Thank you indeed. Cool, so here's the VAT map. It's incredible. I've never seen so much traffic on VATSIM at any one time. Oh, that is it's absolutely savage. The poor guys at Rovaniemi, that is unbelievably busy. Well, we'll be on our way there very shortly. 12045 for the next frequency. Excellent work, guys. Excellent work. Oh, I've already got it up there for excellent. But I do appreciate that. Has he forgotten about us? Well, he's probably just waiting for the slot, actually, being very realistic. So yeah, he can't let you go until 10 minutes before the slot. I can't remember what the updated slot time was, so you'd make a note of it. Perfect.
I should create one tower with you on my left, right? One on the right. Oslo Gardermoen, clear to land, one on the right, so wind 02 plan to vacate Alpha 4.
Perfect. Sid, make sure you show us the VAT map.
Clear to land, running one
Right,
on the
I
right.
don't know, I could do, but if you just type in VATSIM map on Google,
you'll
you'll see exactly what I'm seeing on my phone. Well, I've got an app called VAT Traffic, which is completely free. Right, I'm going to set the parking brake, just so I don't have to hold the trigger down on my joystick, so my finger gets sore.
On runway 19 left. On runway
Oslo Gardermoen,
19
Scandinavia
left.
280, fully established.
Ras
ILS
really wants to
199.
let us know that we're on the runway.
Scandinavian 280, Oslo Gardermoen, minimum approach speed, number
208 arrivals into Rovaniemi. Unbelievable.
Get on behind Boeing 737, Scandinavia 280.
Captain Bigot,
Rosewood 01, the wind
Standby.
field is 2 knots, runway 19 left, clear for takeoff.
runway 19 left, cleared takeoff, broadsword 01. So 40 seconds initially, stabilise, check for anything that's unusual, and then 70% on the brakes. Okay, and this just sheds any ice that's built up on the spinner. You can sometimes anticipate some rough running of the engine as well, which is completely normal. So you'd wait here for 30 seconds doing this, start a timer as well. which I'll do anyway. So yeah, it's quite satisfying doing this, helping burn lots of fuel. So there you go. We'll say that's 30 seconds just to get ourselves going. Release the parking brake like that. Push toga. Set takeoff thrust. Let's get out of here. Takeoff thrust. Looking for is 88.2. There we go. Takeoff thrust set indications normal.
$89.
80 knots check. Release the forward pressure. I would have put the wipers on to at least this.
Prepare for go around.
Uh-oh. So there's the delayed VR.
V1. Rotate.
Rotate. 2 to 2.5 degrees per second. Airborne. Pull for the dead band up to 15 degrees and on to the flight directors. Pause rate of climb. Gear up.
I'm just going to go around setting,
Oh,
go
God.
around, time 4,000 feet, amazing.
Hope that's not someone behind me. LNAV, confirm the roll modes. I think he was landing on the other runway, someone's going around, so hopefully he won't hit us.
Road 401, caution contact tower, contact approach now, 120.45, have a wonderful flight.
120450. Thank you very much, sir, for the service. Good luck this evening, Broadsword 01. So he's really busy.
Thank you.
Alright, we can change over the frequency, flap 1. We don't contact departures until we've selected flaps up unless they're calling you, it's just one of our SOPs. And now we can select flaps up. Climbing to 7,000 feet, so we don't need to worry about setting standards. And we can check in with departures.
37, bye-bye.
Switching to 120 please to alright, thank you very much, have a nice evening.
Gardermoen approach, good evening. Broadsword 01 on the Nuvsa 4 Charlie departure, passing 3,300 for altitude at 7,000 feet.
Broadsword 01 Oslo approach, good evening. Identified climb via SID to flight level 210.
Climb flight level 210 via the Nuvsa 4 Charlie, Broadsword 01. Awesome, so set 210 checked. We can push out into vent to delete the restriction. And we can now set standard, passing 3-4 for flight level 210. After takeoff checklist, we can turn the engine anti-ice off for a second. Doesn't look like we're in cloud. Air conditioning and pressurization, we've got 1.1, and that's all looking good up there, and that is set. Gears up and off, water brakes off. Altimeter standard set, passing 41, flight level 210. The after takeoff checklist is complete. We can release the cabin crew as well. Perfect. There we go, finally, away. Mod of Rust, does the trim wheel noise not annoy you? Well, I've actually got it disabled in the mod just because the sound, yeah, for me it trims quite a lot more than it should do, but it's all required to make the mod work properly, but not in the real aircraft. Trip beats flight sim, what do you have to do for an RTO before 80 knots? After 80 knots it says throttle hold and you can move the throttle, but it doesn't work before 80. So yeah, I mean below 80 knots we can reject the takeoff for anything, but regardless of the speed for the rejected takeoff, we always disconnect the auto throttle to ensure that it doesn't automatically add thrust. 84 knots, throttle hold enunciates. That just means that the servos that control the auto throttle movement disconnect to ensure that they don't mess around with your takeoff thrust setting at high speed.
Going 280, expect vectors to ILS runway 19 right.
He said climb via SID, so why delete the restrictions? Well, he said, I think for the routing, but he did specifically climb us to 210. Now, technically, I should wait for the climb now, and I should confirm it's unrestricted to 210. But as we're above it, I mean, I would double check that. That's a good point. Oop, mod something a little wiggle there. Awesome.
Shuttle 3, Juliet,
Charlie, clear
So we're 10:08, so we're still 8 hours behind live time. That's just because I wanted to stream in daylight hours then. Who said Sparrow? Sparrow, what is a derated takeoff? So a derated takeoff is just reducing the takeoff thrust setting. Full thrust is 26k, or around 26,000 pounds of thrust. And you can reduce the kind of thrust setting as per your takeoff performance. You don't want to take off every day at full power, because the engine's lifespan will be massively reduced. So we reduce the thrust to allow for that. Right, let's do the pre-cruise checks as we're above flight level 100. So fuel, 4 pumps, none in the centre, and we're balanced 3.3 tons each. Lights, logo lights off. Oops. APU is off. Pressurization 3.1, and that is all set. So we can release the passengers. Looks pretty smooth. Recall, and the pre-cruise checks are complete. Francisco Piero, how do I have AC on the VATSIM network? So I'm doing that. There we go, see externally. So, I don't know, I'm on Active Sky, whether they've changed the clouds or not, from what I understand they haven't. Yeah, it seems to be running smoothly at least. Seems to be running well. Yeah, all the particle effects are so cool. Didn't expect a cloud reset. So yeah, I read on a forum somewhere. Oh god, traffic. 400 feet below us. So that's a TCAS RA, which you'll know in my stream. You went to disconnect the autopilot, auto throttle, pitch up, all that sort of stuff.
01, contact Norway Control 120.37, bye bye.
Norway 120.370, broadsword 01. Good afternoon. 12037.
Getting in 280, turn and right heading 040.
Perfect. Centre goods, evening broadsword 01, climbing flight level 210, direct Nidim.
Broadsword 01, Norway, good evening, Roger. You can stop your climb flight level 210, expect hold at Nidstad.
Okay, climb flight level 210 as cleared, and confirm holding at Lilba for broadsword 01.
Broadsword 01, expect hold at Nidstad, November uniform Victor Sierra Alpha.
That's copied. Expect holding at Nuvsa broadsword 01. Now that is extremely unusual, an on-roll holding. But I guess that's because they're trying to coordinate traffic into Rovaniemi. But yeah, that's very unusual. They wouldn't typically hold you en route with that sort of thing there. But what we'll do, when we're inbound to Nuvsa, we'll enter the hold there. Whether there's a published hold at Nuvsa, I have absolutely no idea. I'd need to get the charts out there, the upper airway charts to confirm, but that's a very unusual place to hold. Castle in bigger, 40% and 70% is for 30 seconds. For 30 seconds at 70%. Just to remove any icing on the fan plates. Holding at Nuvsa. God, we're not going to even get to Rovaniemi before Christmas at this rate.
From the X-ray, contact Sweden Control 132.15.
So we said we can expect holding. So when we're inbound to Nuvsa after Lilba, we'll see what hold we can put in there.
Contact 23 X-ray Yankee, contact Sweden 132.15.
Oh god, I can see on the traffic map like there's a line of aircraft going to Rovaniemi, and I'm trying to like butt in there. This is crazy. Yeah, it was so much easier when I didn't stream off VATSIM. No, I'm joking. It's good fun. This is good fun. So we've got 2 to go. We can select vertical speed now. Start slowing our rate of climb. Cole Sangri coming in with a $10 donation. Just got called into work. Non-smiley face. Have a good flight. I'll have to watch it later. Thanks for everything. Well, sorry I have to go to work. I hope you enjoy it, and yes, I am planning on saving this stream, albeit for the first an hour we didn't go anywhere, but might have been a bit more educational. But yeah, thank you very much for the tip and donation, and have fun at work.
That's gonna go.
Perfect. Let's crank that down to 1 to go. So what have I got? I've still got another hour 50 minutes before I need to shoot off. This could get interesting and fun. Awesome. So, beauty of the habitat function, a feature we don't even have in real life, is this moving map. If you're interested in getting the ZIBO mod. And here we are. Still in Norway, and actually one thing we can do is put the FIR boundary in between Norway and Sweden. This is something we do at the airline I work for, so you can see when you're likely to get a frequency change, and that is called EGAGO. So EGAGO, if we put this in the fix here, this is the FIR boundary in between Norwegian and Swedish airspace, so you're very likely to get a frequency then. Change there, so we put that in there.
6 Mike Lima, enter hold at EGAGO.
Hold the signal, Ryan, it's my team.
Can we engage VNAV?
Right, 5122, contact Sweden, control 132, decimal 15.
132, decimal 15, me, thanks, bye-bye.
Santa 1, contact Sweden, control 131, decimal 12.
Perfect. So we're inbound to Nuvsa now. Just gonna do.
123, decimal 5.
We'll just put this. I mean, I don't know if it's a published hold or not. I need to check the airway chart. Actually, I'm looking at an upper airway chart now quickly to see if there is at Nuvsa a published hold.
Into the hold at Dopey, do you have direction and leg lengths or
Dago, Nuvsa. I don't think this is a published hold. I'm looking at a chart here. It just looks like a en route RNAV waypoint.
Up to 2 minutes approved, and on inbound course, please.
I would just confirm we would like to hold still. At broadside.
Please repeat the frequency transfer.
Busy.
Santa 1, frequency 1.
Santa 1. Brilliant call sign. Why didn't I do that one?
131 decimal 12, thank you very much.
At broadsword 01, can we still anticipate holding at Nuvsa?
Broadsword 01, enter hold at Nuvsa. If you have an optimum level you would like to climb to, up to climb level 290, let me know.
Yeah, request climb flight level 290 and enter hold at Nuvsa, broadsword 01.
Broadsword 01, enter hold at Nuvsa, climbing flight level 290.
Climb flight level 290, hold at Nuvsa, broadsword 01. So 290 is set, 290 checked, so we can engage VNAV, and this is a first. I have never in real life entered a hold whilst climbing, but that's what he wants us to do, no problem. I really wish I took a bit of extra gas, guys. I mean, it's unusual, you wouldn't have this sort of clearance, but the higher we go, the more efficient at least. Now, one thing I really need to is actually be careful here. You don't want to hold at 277 knots, so we're going to really struggle there. So I'm just going to go vertical speed and bring that speed back to around 220 knots, just to get below 230. Now, the reason I've not stayed in level change or VNAV, if I start bringing the speed back, it's going to shoot up. The rate of climb will get very high. So I'm just going VS just to control the rate of climb. We'll just reduce a bit of thrust to bring our speed back. Russell Panderberg, do you prefer RNAV approaches or ILS approaches? Ooh, ILS because it's easier. Because RNAV approaches, you need to do more briefings and stuff, but I just do whatever we need to do. And there's no preference. We usually disconnect to hand flight at the same point each approach.
Do you want me to contact Sweden Control 132.15?
Channel 39 Echo Quebec, affirm, thank you, contact Sweden 132.
So what's this saying as our ETA now? 11:33. Obviously that's going up each minute. That's an hour and 10 right now. Yeah.
American 7, contact,
We need to do some in-flight refueling,
Norway
maybe.
118, decimal,
Well, let's see how the mod.
2.
Ooh, it's making me nervous. I'm just gonna have to crank that rate of climb right down. Well, it seems to be holding okay. I overshot slightly, but that's because of our speed. Yeah, one thing that's not modelled, which I'd really like to have here, is the minimum manoeuvre speed and the up speed. Well, no, it shouldn't be an up speed above 200 actually. But yeah, I'm just being very cautious here with our speed. I don't want to go too slow. It's very unusual to hold up here. But yeah, you'd have a little amber bar here, which would be like your so-called a minimum manoeuvre speed or 1.3 G manoeuvre speed. I'm just going a little bit faster to ensure that we are above that. So we are overshooting this. I mean, it is going to hold correctly, I hope. It's just a very, very tight hold that's depicted on the ND.
Yeah, go 340 for the hold, 792
Well, I don't think I've ever had a flight like this before, both in virtual and real life.
Enter the air gyro hold, flight level 330, 10x 338.
Alright, so we can now go back. Let's go VNAV, but speed window, and leave it at 230 knots. That way, it's a lot safer. The aircraft will pitch for that speed. Vertical speed, it can sometimes your speed can drop off. So yeah, it looks like it's overshot slightly the hold. It's just recapturing the magenta line, but I don't want to go much slower than 230 knots.
79001 X-ray, good evening, climb flight level 340, enter Adobe hold.
Perfect.
Enter the hold at Adobe flight level 340.
You can tell it's Scandinavia in the winter at 20 past 10 in the sim, and that's how high the sun is. It doesn't get that much higher than that.
Actually, make right hand.
So now we're just wasting fuel, climbing in a hole, going the wrong way, but we're still arriving with 3.4 tons. Our reserves are 2.1 to divert to our alternate, so still got at least, at least 30-40 minutes from now extra. We've used an extra 10-20 minutes of fuel already. I play both. What's this ZIBO version? It's X-ray. I'm not sure ZIBO's released it. It's got a few changes to the a few changes to the way it handles. I think he's fixed some other bugs as well. Has Nightbot gone off? No, he's come up there.
118.8
Oh yeah. Mr. Lancell's on it. Excellent. Thanks. Thanks. Ooh, where are we going? Where are we going? Left, right? Ah, still need to fix it, but I think that's probably more down to the fact that we're climbing and it's very, very tight there. So,
Broadsword 01, contact Norway control 118.8182.
118.82 broadsword 01. Good day. So this is going to be unusual. I'm going to tell him we are climbing in a hold. There we go.
118.82 contact.
So this is Oslo.
Right turns at 0440 degrees.
Channel 338 Norway, hello, over.
Perfect. Right, let's check in with this guy.
I can drop it in on jet 2 high traffic, and hold it ENGM.
From jet 2 to the Victor Norway, hello.
Norway, good evening. Broadsword 01, climbing flight level 290 in the hold at Nuvsa, 329er, right hand turns. Probably looking at his radar screen going, where the hell are you? Why are you holding and climbing? Just give another second, see if you can hear us.
Station calling Norway, second.
Norway, good evening. Broadsword 01, climbing flight level 290 in the hold at Nuvsa.
Broadsword 01 Norway, good evening.
Yes, I was hoping you'd cancel the holding. Get us on our way to Rovaniemi. Let's have a look at the VATSIM map here. Crazy, absolutely crazy. So it looks a tiny bit quieter going into Rovaniemi. Oh, but there's a lot of traffic coming from kind of like Helsinki. Oh, crap, yeah, it's still pretty busy. Wow. What an unbelievable flight this is. We're not quite holding on the 329, but it'll do. ATC, you know, when you're holding like this, so long as you're turning in the right direction and on the holding side, they're not exactly worried about eccentrics. Certainly on an instrument rating, though, on a light aircraft, you want to be quite accurate there.
Channel 612 amended, hold at the Rogad, left turn in, of course, 04 degrees.
Wow.
Channel 612 left hand 040 degrees, so you gotta go. Channel 612. Channel 612 correction, right turn.
So there we got here, look. You can see us are routing today from Oslo. We're holding here at this waypoint.
Quick, thank you.
I think this is a ghost aircraft. It's actually not too bad if you look at it like that. I don't know why it turns left initially. When it approaches the holding fix, it makes a quick left turn and a right turn.
Tom Jet 6 Tango Echo Norway, good evening.
Jason Grace Fuel Stream, lovely accent. Thanks.
Hold at the goggle.
Typical British, I guess.
40 degrees.
Z Croatia Airline 35. Is it complicated to install ZIBO mode? No, not really. Ooh, hold on, just make sure we're maintain 290. No, not really. You just need to make a copy of the default X-Plane 11 737 and then copy the contents of the ZIBO folder to that overwrite, and then off you go. Simple as that. The sound pack by Audio Bird XP is included with the mod now as well, so you don't need to download that separately. But all the instructions are on the if you look on the video description below, there's a link to the mod in the forum where you can download it, and also gives you the instructions on how to install it.
Oscar 01, proceed direct to Egago, Echo Golf Alpha Golf Oscar.
What's this? Hold at Egago. Broadsword 01. Just confirm you want to hold at Egago.
I found that you're turning away from Egago, so fly to Egago, Echo Golf Alpha Golf Oscar.
Yeah, we're just on the right. We're on the right, going back outbound at the hold. So making a left turn to hold at Egago 040. Right hand turns Broadsword 01. So I might have just missed his call there, but.
Bravo Romeo Oscar 01. You are very far away from Egago, so try to proceed to Egago. If you are currently at Egago, advise, because then you have a GPS failure.
Egago 040 right hand. So we're getting there to our destination, one hold at a time. Crazy, absolutely crazy. But you can see that the mod, ooh, 1 knot at Egago, impressive. But just keep an eye on the mod, make sure it behaves itself. Well, this is a most peculiar flight.
Bravo Romeo Oscar 01.
That's a bit of a glitch. If we end up doing that speed at Egago, we're in trouble. So we just want to be a bit careful of VNAV here. And actually, what I'm going to do, I'm going to stick it in out hold, just so it doesn't mess around here. Interesting. What an interesting flight this is. I mean, if I took standard block fuel, we'd be in trouble. I mean, you'd be in serious trouble. Climb flight level 310 for Broadsword 01. Am I missing his calls here? Alright, well, that's definitely my call sign, Grain. Fly to Egago, climb to flight level 310, and I read it back. So, go back to, actually I want to go level change, 230, just to control the speed. Yeah, I'm probably missing his calls here, so I'm busy looking at other things. We'll do decimal 61. This is very peculiar.
Oslo Gardermoen 45.
Look at that, there's so many aircraft that holding it. It's crazy. Someone's just asked how long they have to hold at Egago. I would like to ask that same question. I mean, this is.
Ryanair calling, stay close.
So you got to be very careful with your speed when you're this high. You know, I don't want to go any slower than this really.
Ryanair 435, Yankee
And
Norwich.
because we don't have the minimum manoeuvre speeds, you've got to be very careful. Well, the hold's in. And how are we doing for fuel here? At the moment, 3.
Bravo, Romeo, Oscar, 01, hold at Garbo, inbound turn 040 degrees, right hand.
Inbound to Irgargo, 040 right hand turns, broadsword 01. Okay, so he knows what we're doing. He wants timings, 1.5 minutes and reasonable speed, do not exceed max ICAO speed, or 230. You've got to be so careful. You go any faster than this, you know, you won't be able to hold accurately on speed. Judy183, Flight Sim, is your voice doing announcements to ZIBO? Yes, I do some of the PAs for some of the sound sets, and my partner, she does some of the sound sets for cabin crew as well. So that was very kindly requested by Audio Bird XP. So they've been there for a couple of, oh no, longer than that, probably 3 or 4 months now. Hot Knife Gaming, your ZIBO's flying circles for the hold. Should be oh yeah, actually. Looks like mine might do as well, but we can fly it manually if we have to. Always use heading select. What's this? Look at all these. Because green's message, I thought green was private, so 11882 Egado traffic, but that we are this hold at Agago 040 Ryan turns 1.5 minutes. There we go. Well, we'll just do old school holds in heading select. So it looks like, oh look, it had the cloud redraw. So I thought Audio Bird XP, I thought Active Sky fixed that. That's a bit of a shame. We'll put heading of 040 here. I mean, it's a bit unconventional, and Igado, again, it's an RNAV waypoint. It's not a conventional hold over a beacon or a radial. So there's, you know, you just got to roughly work out a beam looking at the ND. I mean, this is very crazy. It's crazy. I didn't realise how busy it would be. Dorian Ward, so in the event that you don't have the fuel to get to your destination, would you have to divert? Or well, yeah. I mean, if you want to do it as realistic as possible, you didn't have enough fuel to get in there. You'd have to divert to somewhere suitable. You know, probably go back to Oslo from our present position, Oslo Gardermoen. Because it's going to be the most convenient for the passengers. There's a commercial aspect of these sort of things too. We're not going to divert to an airport near here. Probably go back to Oslo. Well, let's see what the mod does. Yeah, it looks like, I think the mod wasn't happy with me putting a second hold in here. En route hold. Now my workload's going to be even higher if I'm going to be holding manually. Let's see what it does. Overhead Idago, we're going to do a right turn. Just want to see if it does a circle. Well, the outbound leg's going to be 220, so we'll put that in here. And because we have to fly bank angles of 10 degrees in heading select as well above 300, so it'll be really a peculiar hold.
No way, 7901, straight level 340, direct Chicago. Station calling, say again, confirm Southern Air 001 X-ray. Confirm 7901 X-ray, level 340, direct Chicago.
Cherry's default explainer weather is good enough in my honest opinion. Yeah, I guess if it's doing the cloud redraws, but I haven't really played with Active Sky to really see if it's working correctly.
040 right now. 040 right, just hold it at Gargo. What's that? 701 X-ray.
Yeah, if this carries on much more, we might have to divert back to Oslo for two reasons. One, fuel. Two, I've got only about an hour and a half before I've got other commitments, guys. I'd half be expecting to brief the descent now. Crazy.
Understood, 1 X-ray.
Oh, mods oscillating slightly. Just really having to keep an eye on it. It should be bang on 310 here. So I'm just getting ready for heading select on 220. And if that doesn't work, just kind of bumping up and down here on the heights. Not to worry. Alright, just going to put in heading select here, just so we're flying on the outbound track. It's deleted the hold at Edago. So what I'm going to do here is put that as an active waypoint. Execute. And then Oslav. Execute. Now we're roughly a beam, so we can start timing. We'll do a 1.5 legs, because that's what he wanted. Hardly any wind, so we don't have to worry so much about our track. And yeah, this is kind of like a very unconventional hold we're doing in heading select, but it should do that. Emily Young, log off and continue. Yeah, I think that might be an option if we're not going anywhere in 10 more minutes, we might just have to log off the network, because this is, number one, it's not extremely realistic. What we're doing here, you know, you wouldn't have en route holding, and you know, to be fair to the controllers, they're doing everything they can. But what they should have done on this event is, just like in real life, is have booked slots. You know, and I've seen some VATSIM events where you have to book the slots to get in there, and if you haven't booked a slot, you can anticipate delays, because you know this is incredibly unrealistic. What we're doing here, you wouldn't have en route holds like this. That's why you have slots to stay on the ground. You just don't have the fuel to do this all day. So we'll go around the hold one more time. We'll have a bit of a vote in the chat. We can either divert on VATSIM, or we can continue offline to Rovaniemi. We'll see what happens. I quite like to go to Rovaniemi, because that's the whole idea of this stream. We'll see what goes on. So I'm going to go back to our inbound heading now. Now, I'm just going to have to put 25 degrees. You wouldn't do this above 300. It's just because I want to make sure we don't overshoot the turn. Russell, Paper Day, have to go. Well, good luck with your ventures. Have a nice hold. Yep, keep my feet up. So we'll go back into 310 towards a 040 at Adago, and then we're going to try and put the hold back in. Yeah, getting a lot of offlines. It's tough. Let's see what he does.
Oscar Sierra Sierra. Hold cancel direct Oscar Sierra Sierra. Channel 610, thank you.
Alright. Alfie Douglas, screw this, disconnects. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Once we get inbound to Edago, I'll just give him, ask him how long can we expect to hold for, and then if it's a stupid time, we'll just carry on the sector. But yeah, the event organisers should have had like a slot system, which I know they do for certain VATSIM events, where you know, you can have a slot and then they can reasonably separate traffic just like they do in real life. Because this is in my honest opinion, I don't like to vent my honest opinion, it wasn't the best organised, because you know, the amount of traffic coming in is insane, and rightfully so. Everyone wants to get involved, but they should have bid for slots. Richard, you'd like me to divert, more realistic to stay online. Well, yeah, that is true. That is true. Perfect. Right. Just want to try and do a test for ZIBO. I'm just going to try and put the hold back in again. Execute that for a second.
So jets, this go.
That's good enough for 040. A bit unconventional. I'm just going to go LNAV. Enter right. Yeah, it's putting in a circle again. Oh well. Not sure. ZIBO's probably fixing that immediately.
So Jet 6 Tango Echo Norway.
Live, so if you go offline and continue, welcome to popular VATSIM events.
So Jet 6 Tango Echo cancel holds, proceed direct Oscar Sierra Sierra.
Yeah.
Hold the direct office, yeah, that's on Jet 6 Tango Echo.
Oh Christ, where was the mod going? Jesus, it was pretty high there. 310, so yeah, a few... bit of oscillating there. Why is that climbing again? Steady.
How long can we expect to hold Bird 250? Stand by.
Yeah, I would like to ask the same question.
Leaving hold. From direct Ostersund now.
So not on the correct inbound course, should be 040, but it's a bit unconventional. 2 seconds, guys, I'll be with you in the chat.
13215.
Simo, Finding Some Airlines is not going to be happy with the fuel bill. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Actually, what are we estimating here? 2.8. We're getting close to reserve soon. I did not anticipate any of this. 220. Our radar broadsword 01. Can you estimate how long we can hold at Oslav for?
Broadsword 01 native.
Okay, I think we're going to disconnect, guys, and I'll explain why later. Broadsword 0, we're just going to disconnect from the network because I've got some other commitments, so focus for the service tonight.
Broadsword 01, Roger, have a great day, bye.
Thanks. So guys, really sorry, I know you want me to divert and everything and stuff. The reason I've come to that decision, I've really got to get going. You know, I've got about an hour and 20 minutes where I need to go. And I have to get all the other charts out and stuff like that. So for the sakes of that, I'm gonna go off the network. So I really apologise. But that is just, I have commitments outside. If I didn't have commitments, I would probably do that, divert, make those other decisions there. So that's what I've done. We're going to disconnect, carry on with the flight. We'll make the stream a little bit more personal so you can ask me questions. A great shame, but that's just that's insane. It's just so busy there, so busy. So anyway, we'll go up to 350, which is our final cruise level. Once, twice, 3 times 121.5 is the standby frequency here, and we make that active on box 2. So yeah, I mean, just from my point of view, as I climbing those speeds, they're good. From my point of view, it's the event is very popular, I can see there, but it's not realistic to climb and hold like that. It's just it's no, and if you've taken plug fuel or extra fuel, it'll be fine. Now, if I had nothing on tonight, I'd happily, you know, we'd hold for as long as possible, wait until we get fuel, divert and stuff like that. But I just like to go to the destination as part of a stream. Really, I can see some people going, "Oh, no worries and stuff," but that's what we'll do, and hopefully, when we get to our new stream or another VATSIM event, it won't be so manic. Tom got the message, will do. Richard, events, it's a cool thing for sure, but my experience is what we have here today isn't unusual. Normally picking a time with booked AC, but no, events might be a better option. Yeah, maybe. I found that VATSIM, you know, prior to streaming like this, I look for events, but they are usually extremely popular. But I see there's coverage on VATSIM for other airports all the time, so yeah, we could do it that way. But yeah, if you can't give me, you know, we've been flying now for 38 minutes. I mean, how far away from Oslo? Barely. Well, I don't even know what's the. We'll find out what's the frequency of Gardermoen VOR. 1595. We'll find out how far away we are from Oslo. 1595. I don't know what the frequency is, but we're not even that far from Oslo at the moment. We've been flying for 40 minutes or so. We'll never get there. When are we going to arrive, Jacob Smith? Well, as per the plan now, live weather. Haven't got that much extra fuel now. 482 11:50. Based on this time, about an hour and 10 minutes from now. Hour and 10 minutes, which is good for me. I should finish the stream just at the absolute latest time I can do, really. TM4, it's a mess on VATSIM right now. Yeah, that's why I gave up on it. That was crazy. I mean, it wasn't the most realistic. Rainy day today. I vote for a divert to Kiruna. I'm not 100% sure the way that is, but we'll carry on. We'll carry on to Rovaniemi, and the reason I'd like to actually carry on to there because when I was a kid, many years ago, that's actually where I went to with my family to go see Santa. So it's a bit like trip down memory lane in a way. I don't think I've ever flown there in the simulator. Simon S&B, just wondering, why do people call the anti-skid the auto brake? I'd think one of the names that they could totally different things. Well, they are two very different things. I mean, the auto brake system modulates the brakes to ensure the aircraft decelerates at a set speed. 1, 2 and 3 are routinely used. Max if it's very short runway. RT obviously for takeoff. Anti-skid is just like the ABS on your car. It just prevents the wheels from locking up. But they're two very independent systems there. They shouldn't be called the same thing though. What I'll do is on my Streamlabs I'll get rid of my call sign as well, which kind of highlights the fact that I'm no longer streaming. There we go. Oh, that's a great shame. I'm really sad we're not online anymore. Never mind.
1,000 to go.
Creation Eyes, what's the destination for you on Wednesday? Yeah, you asked me where I'm going to Tenerife on Wednesday. So yeah, that's where I'm flying in real life. I think it's Wednesday. Let me just check my roster. Yeah, it is Wednesday. I'm going there on an evening flight. So yeah, I'll send a few things on Instagram, and I know a lot of people like some of the things I post as well. I posted some information about the IGS landing system recently, which is quite popular. Cool. So here we are, approaching our cruise level, flight level 350. And our current position, we have just crossed into Swedish airspace, and my Scandinavian friends would be able to tell me, or Swedish friends will be able to tell me exactly what region we're in here. I've absolutely no idea. We don't usually fly this far north where I work. And there's the external view. Perfect. But yeah, active sky, it seemed, I did see it redraw the clouds once, which is a bit of a pain, but it seems to be pretty stable. Mona for us, does Santa live there? I think he lives in Rovaniemi. I was told that when I was much younger. I still think he lives there. Flight deck sim, increase the cost index. Well, cost index 30. Well, we'll speed up slightly. Let's do 7.9. Well, actually, let's do 8.0. Let's really get on our way. Perfect. But that's really because I can't hang around here, guys, this evening. Sorry about that. Fib, how do we have charts on Avitab? Bring up the Avitab function. You need to have the plugin by Folco. Folco here. It's called Avitab. Just search on the forum. It's put it in your plugin folder and it allows you to view charts. Some good guidance and instructions on how to do that. Austin Drew, new subscriber here. Hello and welcome to the channel. Hope you're enjoying the content. Tom, the VATSIM event is a double-edged sword, funny and hectic, but it is what it is. Ironic enough, we cannot complain about traffic on VATSIM. It's voluntary and seldom this much. Yeah, absolutely, and it can be very quiet on VATSIM. A little bit too much today, though. I mean, I don't host or organise these events, but I think a slot system would have been better for the controllers, just to manage that workload there, I mean, I don't know. I can't think of any chance or any situation where you would climb in a hold on a departure, but they were doing their best to manage it. They got one less person to worry about at least. Armanar, what are your thoughts on the 777X? This is the new one with the fancy wingtips that fold up and down like on a old school American aircraft carrier jet, isn't it? I don't know. I don't know that much about the 777. I guess it's moving forward with more carbon fibre and more efficiencies and stuff, but not so clued up on that sort of information. Hans Peters, hello Flyers Sim. If you have time, can you explain in short the main difference between selected outside air temperature D rate, takeoff 1, takeoff 2, and why at some airlines D rate, takeoff 1 and takeoff 2 are not allowed? So we always try and reduce our thrust setting for departure to increase the engine life of a jet engine. It's more efficient, and we do that by two ways. Number one, the first way of doing that is reducing a D rate, so we can select 20 in the 737-800, that is 26, 24, 22k, which is just lowering the thrust rating of the engine each time. Now you can always set as much thrust as you like on the thrust, but that's how that system works. Now, assumed temperature, we're telling the engine is what we call a flat rated engine, so it's flat rated at a certain temperature. We could, I think, let me get this correct, we can adjust that temperature, trick the engine to say it want you to give us the thrust setting based on this temperature, and it's just a way of reducing the thrust further. Now, I'm not going to be your best knowledgeable answer. I can't give you the best knowledgeable answer on this. If you look online, it'll be far better at explaining what it does. But essentially, all we do as pilots is reduce the thrust setting using a D rate, and then select an assumed temperature for the engine to think it's this temperature to give us a thrust setting using a performance tool like the OPT. So that's it. Let's have a look. Gooseboy, do you ever fly from Eastman's Airport? Yes, I've flown from Eastman's in the past. Croatia Airlines, best airport for you actually in all you've visited. I've said this before, I really enjoy going to Malta. I like any challenging destination or something that's quite rewarding to land into, but I don't really have an absolute favourite at the moment. Quite happy to fly when I do, just because I in the simulator I don't fly that often, so any flight I really enjoy at the moment. Airspotter UK, is there a limit on the assumed temperature? I think it's 60 off the top of my head. 60 degrees is the highest assumed temperature you can select. I might be wrong on that. Sid makes studios. What football team do you support? I'm not a huge football fan, but I do support Chelsea. Not a huge football fan. Far more into Formula 1. If you want to chat about that, I'll be here all day. Simon M, what joystick do you use? This is the Logitech Extreme 3D Pro, which I've had for some time actually, but it works absolutely fine for me. It's a great little joystick. Perfect. So, pretty colours at least. Now, one thing I've noticed, if you're a user of X-Plane 11, my frame rates, if you see I'm moving here, what am I getting right now? I'm only hitting about 20 frames per second. I found it's Ortho 4XP, because I've installed it on a external hard drive, I think, and it's not a solid state drive, it's just a traditional SATA drive. When it's reading new files, it takes quite an impact on the frames. Now, where we're flying into in Rovaniemi, I don't have Ortho 4XP for. My performance is up to 50-60 frames per second, so I don't know what I could do to jig that or affect that. But I think that's, if you were watching my last stream when we went to went to Sion in Switzerland, the frame rates was massively affected by, oh my god, where are we going? Massively affected by Ortho 4XP, so I'm trying to find a fix for that. It's not too bad. So, looks like we're a little bit unstable here. How is it trimming? There's quite a lot of nose down trim. So yeah, keep an eye on the mod. You know, it's still work in progress. It should be rock solid on the altitude there. Rock solid on the altitude. Massimo, same here with my Ortho. Yeah, I think it's a common issue. Daniel Hill, hardest ATPL ground school subject. Oh, what did I hate? I mean, they're all difficult. I'm actually, behind me is my bookcase where I still have all of my books still. I'm looking at them now. Performance, yeah, I didn't enjoy performance. Oh yeah, electrics. Ugh, anything to do with electricity is difficult. Still don't know how that works. Just turn it on, turn it off. Yeah, they were the toughest ones. The performance exam, you had to be a bit careful time, as was the general nav, but like anything, you work hard, you'll be all good. Russell Panderberg, alright, I'm back. Good. Well, welcome back. I'm afraid we've logged off the VATSIM network because it was just far too busy. We weren't getting anywhere quickly. Dan, oh yeah, F1 talk. Here we go. Who's my favourite driver? Whoa, I've got to be careful here. Well, as I'm British, I have to support Lewis Hamilton. Is he my favourite person of all time? Not completely. Do I think he's a really good driver? Absolutely. I think he's one of the best ever. What do I think of Vettel? I think he's, again, a very good driver, but he does need to keep his cool, doesn't he? I mean, he lost the championship in Germany, didn't he? Oh, God, I'm really getting sidetracked here. Gooseboy, favourite airport in the UK? Where do I really like flying out of base? Been to Bristol a few times, that's a challenge. Edinburgh, I've been there for years, though. I like going up to Scotland a few times, too. But yeah, I don't really have a favourite UK. If you want to know, this, I'll write it down here, I did my PPL at an airfield called Fenland, which is a very small airfield. I think I can't remember what the code is now, Echo Golf Charlie Lima. So yeah, if you type in, I'll type it in here, guys. Ferrari, love it. Yeah, this is where I did my PPL and all my initial flight training. I did about 150 hours. It's a small airfield in Lincolnshire. Thoughts about Bottas? I think, again, he's a very good driver, but I don't think he's going to be staying there. I think he really has been put as a number 2 man for Hamilton. Oh, isn't this fun? Flight sim, how quickly can you slow the aircraft down from 170 to 180 knots? Well, that's speeding up, but I get your point. To final approach speed, if ATC wants you to stay as fast as possible. Oh, I got you. So how quickly can you slow the aircraft down from 170 to 180? I got you. So yeah, I mean, if ATC have given us a speed, it wouldn't typically be as high as 180 knots. Any closer than 5-6 miles. But yeah, I mean, you can use speed brake up to the point of selecting gear down flat 15. Flat 10 speed brake works quite nicely if you want to slow down quickly. But yeah, I mean, the 737 you've got to be quite careful with. Very slippy on the approach, very slippy in descent, especially if you want to descend and slow down at the same time. But you've got lots of tools on this aircraft to configure it accordingly and to help you get down there. Sid makes his thoughts on Luton. I've flown from Luton not for a long time. Yeah, I mean, it's a great little airport. Could do with an extra runway, but as could all the airports in the UK. Pudding, how did you control the gate bridge at Oslo Airport with a plug-in? What's it called? I've forgotten what it's called now. What the hell is it called? Oh, you guys will know in the stream. I've got a plug-in which is like is it better pushback? No, that's the pushback thing. It's not here though. It's a pushback which it gives you the marshaller and all that sort of stuff. So someone in the chat will definitely answer that for you. MC Note Gaming. Would a real Boeing 737 tilt to the side if you exceeded the maximum speed the flaps can withstand? By tilt, do you mean roll? Well, if you exceed the speeds the flaps can withstand, I mean, if you look at the flap speeds for 125, they're all 250 knots. Now, if you were to go much quicker, I don't know if that would damage it. With flap 30 and 40, there is a feature called flap blowback. So if you go 1 knot above these, 5 knots above these, I'm getting this wrong. I should know this. It blows back, I think, 6 knots above this speed. So if you go 181 or 167 with these flaps, the flaps will retract automatically to the previous position. Which is a safety feature, but for 25, 15, 10, yeah, if you go much higher over those speeds, you're probably going to damage the flaps. So yeah, you do respect these. Yeah, AutoGate, that's the plug-in. That's the plug-in. Thanks, guys, for us. I feel so sad for Bottas. Yeah, me too. It's a little bit unfair, isn't it? He's been put to the side. Hugo Vieira, your external drive is limited by the USB interface. Well, I've got it plugged directly in via the... guys, not a computer expert, but straight into the 4 pins. You know, it's not USB. It's directly plugged into the PC. So I don't know if that's... it could be sped up or anyway. Am I Myers? Hi Captain, do you have many winds different with Active Sky? Because sometimes I have some speed difference. Well, let's have a look actually. We've just overflown Oslav. We've got 151 at 30. Get rid of these charts in Oslo. And we want... what is it under? Charts, isn't it? Yeah. Let's have a look at what it should be. And these have been very accurate with default X-Plane 11, so I shouldn't see it being an issue. There's Oslav. Oops, not there. Pax Mokib. I think we've got the wrong flight plan there. Okay, I think that was when we went to Geneva. Stand by. Oslavs, there we go. So we're 350. It should be 157 at 8, and we've got 151 at 32. I mean, yeah, I mean they're usually a little bit more accurate, but it's at least roughly the right direction. I think it's. I have not really had the time to program or check amongst the two there, so I'll find out. Good. How far away are we until top descent anyway? What have we got here? Another 263 miles, so a short while, 11:30, so another 35 minutes until descent there. But yeah, you'll see here, like frame rates, what are we? We're kind of hitting 2021, it shouldn't be this low. All I'm running on this PC is Active Sky and Streamlabs, nothing else in the background. But you'll notice when we leave Sweden, when I get further north, I don't have Ortho 4XP, I get a big increase in performance there. Perfect. Actually, I don't know if anyone in the chat's still online on the VATSIM. I'd like to know how crazy hectic it is. Gary the Bean, can you do an explanation of the mic selector panel? Yeah, sure. So here we go. This is the pedestal, all right, and this is what we're interested in with communication. So you've got the captains, first officers, and the observers. There you go. There's an identical panel here. So in the real 737. Here, there's a jump seat. Now, it's a bit dark, can't quite see it. I don't think it's modelled that well. But you see here, it's... if I put the lights on, if it will be easier to see. Oops. I'll put this to bright. Yeah, you can't quite see it. But here's a jump seat, alright? And in there, there's the... that's where you can put the headphones into, use the observer panel. The headphones for the FO, they're not modelled, but they should be up here as well. Anyway, going back onto your question... here we are, back on the radio panel. So, the captain here, this button here, the mic selector, this means that whatever you transmit on, pushing this button, you push this down to talk to ATC, the RT button, that's all you're talking to. Now, we very rarely use this switch, because on the control column, there is the identical switch. Now, has ZIBO gone to model this? I'm not sure, but on the back here, there's a little trigger switch. No, I don't think it's there, because it should be. Need to model it anyway. It's a little trigger switch, just like you would have on the light aircraft to talk. And when you push on RT, that transmits on that frequency. So in this case, VHF 11825, which I think was Swedish radar, whoever we're controlling to last. If you switch this to VHF 2, that means the captain is transmitting on this frequency. The others are in op. That's the interphone system. So you can talk to each other, service for the cabin crew and PA for the passengers. So that's it. Now you can select the volume, but just give me 2 seconds because Tim is coming with a £10 donation. Thank you very much. I've been watching the stream whilst 2, 1, 4 and 5-year-olds are having a birthday party. This is keeping me sane. Crikey. Thank you very much again, Tim, and for your membership as well, and continued donations. And Tim, I hope you've got one eye on your kids and children there, and wishing your kids a happy birthday if it is yours, but I'm glad I'm keeping your sanity. Brilliant. As I was saying, this is who you could talk to, and this is who you can listen to. So flight, that's to listen on the interphone, that's to listen to the cabin crew, that's to listen to the passengers. These are the old school ways of identifying frequencies, so if you can obviously get the identification on the ND, but if you didn't get that, you would listen to the Morse code here. So you'd select nav 1, nav 2, listen to the Morse. Now, I don't know Morse code. I don't think there's many commercial airline pilots that do. But if you look at charts, for example, let's go back into Oslo. Let's just go approach ILS. You'll always find the Morse identifier. So you'll see here, look, here's the ILS, you've got dash, 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 dot, 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 dash, dash. So you listen to the Morse, which would help you identify the frequency, if you didn't pick it up on the ND. Cool. Martin, if you could choose what aircraft you wanted to fly in real life, except the 737, what would it be? I'd love to fly, I mean, if I had an absolute dream of any aeroplane, it would be a Spitfire. I mean, that is the ultimate boy's toy, isn't it, as well? Love to have a go on that. Any of those old warbirds. One of my favourite aeroplanes ever is a Boeing Stearman. I'd love to have a go in one of those. I was actually very lucky in the summer to have a flight with the Blades Aerobatic Display Team, which was actually a gift. A friend of my uncle's knows someone in the Blades, so I got to fly them in formation with Spitfire. I didn't get to fly in the Spitfire itself, but I did get to fly in an extra 300 for the Blades display team, which was pretty awesome. I'd never done any aerobatics before, so it was quite an eye-opener for me, and I actually really enjoyed it. I was a little bit sceptical about it, but yeah, it was wicked. It was really good fun. But yeah, Spitfire would be my ultimate toy there. Jump around Morse code is easy. Oh, I could learn it, but I don't need to. Perfect. One Legend TV, this is my go-to channel for flight simulation tutorials. Well done. Well, thank you very much. I don't do have to tutorials in ages, have I, guys? Live streaming is, I think, more fun. I think it's more interactive, and in a way, it's a lot easier for me because when I made those tutorials, it was very time-consuming, recording, editing, and sending. Now, I still wish to do the occasional one, but at the moment, I think streaming's more fun, and I've been able to think this is the 4th Saturday in a row I've streamed. I cannot keep this up. I'm going to be quite busy at the beginning of the year, but I'm really dedicated to this channel. I love it. I really enjoy doing this, so I will do streams as often as possible. One Legend TV, have you ever flown a real Cessna? Yes, I have. I did all my initial flight training on a 150, 172, 182 I've flown. And then I did, I flew the Warrior and Seneca for my instrument rating. So I've flown both the Cessna and Piper, but I prefer the Cessna model over Piper, simply because it has a top wing and you've got far better visibility and it felt a much more stable aircraft. Jacob, what's your dream commercial plane to fly other than the 737? I'd love to have a go on a 78. I'd like to see how that works. Very modern. I'd like to have a go, you know, like you guys, I'd like to fly, have a go at anything, but long term, I like the 737. It really is an awesome aircraft to fly. It's challenging, but once you know, get your head around it, it's a very rewarding aeroplane to fly to. Gooseboy, have you ever had an engine failure of any kind or problem whilst flying? I haven't, thank goodness, and touch wood, but we do train for those situations in the simulator. We train and instruct, I mean, every scenario going. We're talking engine severe damage, engine fire, engine surge, flame out, oil pressure exceedance. You know, they're exposed to several during the type rating, and so they can use the applicable checklists. Jason Grace, have you ever flown a glider? Yes, my initial flight training was actually on a glider. Sorry, I said a PPL, but I did go gliding first, and I flew solo in a glider, in a Polish glider called a Pukats. And I did that on my 16th birthday, which was the youngest I could. And, you know, like probably a few of you in the stream here, I always wanted to be a pilot, and I had a job at a local gliding club where instead of paying me money, they gave me free gliding lessons, and that was what the return was. Fly off to each their own. I prefer low wing, absolutely. Each their own. Perfect. Now, because we're offline, guys, I'm actually going to take this opportunity to take a very quick break, just to get another drink as well. And then once I'm back, we'll discuss the approach into Rovaniemi, alright? So I'll be back in less than 5 minutes, just get myself a drink. And, yeah, I'll be back right with you. well, thanks a lot for that, guys. I hope you can all hear me okay. And just went for a quick toilet break, got myself a drink, which I know you're not meant to do on VATSIM. Cool. So where are we now? Geographically, so you can see here if we go close all these charts, map. There we go. So we're heading on nicely northeast over Sweden, and we're not using live time, but you can see here in Sweden this time of year. Look, we're live date at 10 past 11 UTC. I mean, this is about as bright as it gets for these guys up here. So it's yeah. I mean, I don't know how you can do it. Live all day with is it 3 hours of daylight, 3 hours of light a day in Rovaniemi, where we're going. Incredible how dark it stays there. Hectobytes, why do you still have the speed window open? That's because I've got to go in about 50 minutes to go to work. I'm actually going in a sim with a friend who's rejoined the company on the behest of myself. I didn't have to do it, but he just wanted to go over some flows and procedures. So yeah, I might take a few little shots on the Instagram stories so you can see what I'm up to. You can book, the airline I work for is really cool, you can book sims if they're empty to practice profiles and procedures. Not on your own though, you can't go and mess around in them, it's all proper training. One Legend TV, when did you last fly an aircraft as the pilot in command? Many years ago. I'm still a first officer, so I know I haven't flown light aircraft now on my own for 7 years. So yeah, we're talking 2000 and trying to work it out. 2012. So yeah, hopefully in less than a year's time though, that won't be the case. Oh my god, so there's some ghost aircraft. There's Active Sky rebuilding the weather. So I don't think I'm in an area of Ortho 4XP anymore. And if you look at my frame rates now, well, maybe I'm pushing 30 frames per second, but maybe still got an area there. Oh my god, what is going on with this? That is ridiculous. Yeah, we wouldn't turn it off in reality then. Tom, did you forget you are not online? Take as much break as you can whilst in the crows. Yeah, it's fine. I'm cool, you know. I mean, when I'm instructing in the sim, we do 4 hours intensive, so I'm used to this sort of level of question answering and doing all this sort of stuff. But yeah, I could have taken a longer break, but all I wanted was get some water. Thank you. Half Moon, can you tell ZIBO that the little FPV bird ignores the wind for quite a long time now? Let's have a look. Oh yes, well it's clearly not modelled because that flight path vector should be off to the right. Yeah, I'll see, you know, if he wants to get it modelled in time. I mean, it's a very small thing. I personally don't like the flight path vector. I don't use it, but a lot of people do. It's not modelled. It is with regards to the horizon, but it should be exactly there. But it should be pointing to the right slightly with that one. Cool. Right, how far have we got to go now? 149 miles. So what we'll do? Look, 2.5 tons. All that messing around. It's used all of our extra fuel up. All of our extra fuel up to get into the anticipated holding in Rovaniemi, and I'm just going to check the latest weather as well in aero weather. So we might have to do an auto land. I think the forecast was a bit iffy. Yeah, we're probably, yeah, we're definitely going to do an auto land, guys. Rovaniemi 210 at 15 knots. Broken at 300, broken at 500. Well, you get away with Cat 1 ILS because I think the Cat 1 ILS minimums are 200 feet there. -5 QNH is 1031. So we'll punch in the QNH here. Oh, dogs come up. Oh, got a cup of tea made as well. Thanks. So my partner just made me a cup of tea. Isn't she the best? So yeah, dogs here, cup of tea as well. Brilliant. And then we can carry on chatting about the stream. I've just been told it's not tea, it's chai latte or something, so I don't know, it's going to grow hairs on my chest or something, but thank you very much. So yeah, got family life here as well going on as normal. What was I saying? Forecast QNH is 1031, which is set here. And the temperature, what is the temperature? I just told you guys. Oh yeah, is anyone actually streaming into, if they're flying into Rovaniemi, tell me what the weather is, that'd be quite cool. Don't auto-land if you crash, it would be funny. Do you think maybe I'm going to explain? Jim Bobo, no way, we've been holding for ages, let's see you bring it down manually. Fair enough, alright. Well, do you want to try and do a manual ILS in what should be doing Cat 2? It'll be fair enough. Richard, will you really make it all the way down before you need to go? Yeah, we'll go, guys. I mean, I can go slightly over 8. I'm all ready to go to work, so we're all good. 52, 40, yeah, we'll be fine, guys. Temperature then in Rovaniemi is -5, so it's 20 degrees below ISA, and it hits -4, so we'll just stick -20 in here. It's the ISA deviation, so this is just an average of the two. Oops, should be able to put a slash there. It helps VNav calculate so we get a little bit more accurate, and I don't actually have the charts open for Rovaniemi. Airport code for Rovaniemi is EFRO. And click next here. Cool, and we're going to be flying the... Actually, there's 2 arrivals here. I think because we're on our own in the sim now, we've got 2. So you've got ILS Zulu for runway 21, RNAV SID. Now this is a bit boring. We're going to go VECIP, NIPAC, and then inbound. So that's probably what you'd get there in reality. If you want to fly right now in the stream, but as we're on our own, we'll fly the procedural approach, which is not Zulu, it's Yankee, so that will allow us to fly direct to the beacon and then fly outbound around here on the loop. It'd just be a little bit more realistic a procedural approach because we don't have any radar available, so we'll go for that one. And we'll bin the star, guys. What we're going to do is just route direct to Rovaniemi VOR. Okay, so what we're going to do is a bit of self-routing here. And usually when it's a procedural approach, they'll just tell you to go direct to the VOR when you get a little bit closer anyway. And the Rovaniemi VOR is 117.7. Sorry, I've sort of dinner's ready, but I'll have to leave on the side. 117.7, which will stick up here. There we go. And what we'll do is route direct from MIPGO to the VOR, which was the code. It is Roy. I love that, Roy. Excellent. And from there we can select departure arrivals, get rid of the
50,
star,
30,
and then we're going to select ILS Yankee for 2-1. Who's coming in with a donation there? It is Simon M. Thank you very much for that. The message is coming through here on my computer, albeit very slowly. Simon M, £10. That's very generous. Thank you. Got to go to work. Night shift. I know how that feels. A little something towards the coffee and chocolate. Stream so informative and rewarding to watch. Beats reading the manuals any day. Regards, Simon. That's very kind. Thank you so much for that donation there. Cool. So we're going to select the Roy 1 transition. I think that's the one we need. Ooh, what happened here? Just want to double check this routing. This doesn't look good. What's the mod done here? Nemgu and then Roy, that's what we want. Execute. You should. Now let me just try and select the arrival. You should be able to line select key that anyway. ILS Yankee. Roy 1 transition. Execute. There we go, it's worked, and that's outbound 001. Perfect, so that's all looking good for the procedural approach. I just want to bring the speed back at Roy, let's say 220 knots or below. Just there, execute. And I want 180 knots or below here in the FMC. So we just edit the FMC just to ensure that we've got the speed constraints we want. And then 2,400 feet above. Now, you should cold temperature correct all of these altitudes because it's so cold there. You check a table and add height, but it's not simulated, so we'll just leave the default heights here in the FMC. runway 21, and we want to have a 10-mile ring and a 5-mile ring. I saw someone in the chat said veto the auto land, so you want me to try and do a Cat 1 in minimum visibility, but I might have to continue even if we're not visual at minimums because I don't have time to go around. We'll see what happens, but I always strive to do things as realistic as possible. We'll see what happens when we get there. Perfect. Landing weight 2.4. We're arriving in Rovaniemi with pretty much reserve fuel here, so if you were to have to go around, you'd be really careful and making your decision whether to fly another approach or to divert your alternate. Either decision you'll be using, getting close to your final reserve there, but that's still it's still legal, all good there. So we're going to burn 800 kilos prior to landing, 62.4, which is here, and let's go. We're not going to do water land, are we? So go flat 30. Want to break 3. Runway's probably contaminated in Rovaniemi, so you'd be carefully checking your landing performance. We have something called the TALPA matrix, or takeoff and landing performance assessment, to work out your braking action. We carefully be looking at that, looking at the reported braking action to determine the braking performance used. You probably use flat 40, but there won't be any issues in the X-Plane 11 because it doesn't simulate reduced braking actions on runways. I believe not at the moment. Perfect. Right, let's just finish setting up the ILS then. So we've got 1117 coming in there. Mr. Sober Tim coming with a $10 donation. Thank you so much for your videos. I just started in flight sims and learned a lot from you. Well, firstly, welcome to this excellent community, flight sim community, which I still see myself part of. I'm just very fortunate to be able to do it in real life as well, but I still see myself, just like you guys, as a simmer, and I always will do. Right, 1117, that's all confusing now because we'll leave the VOR active because we'll need that for the procedural approach. Final approach course is 206. Approaching top of descent, not too far away. I'll have to do some shortcuts here just to get the thing moving, and keep speed up as well. Minimums, that's what we need to do. So ILS 2 standard Cat 1 ILS moves 200 feet above the ground, so 8 and 10 feet. Perfect. That is now set. Minimums are good. We've got everything else set. Frequencies, courses, and minimums. Missed approach. Not that we'll have time to do it, but it is climb straight ahead, radar 203 to Goss off to 2,500 feet. So nice, straightforward missed approach. All right. So that's it. We're pretty much all set up, ready to go. And I'm just going to give myself a little shortcut here, guys, just to save another minute or so. We should be all good though, we should be all good. It's time 7:20 here. Excellent, so yeah, that's the ILS setup. I'm pretty much, most of you are pretty happy with how to set up an ILS. It's very simple. We're going to fly a procedural approach, we're going to route direct to the beacon, outbound like this, and then 10 miles right turn to establish ourselves on the localizer onto the ILS. Ropey weather, we're probably not going to see anything until we get to minimums, touch wood we will. But I might illegally carry on to land. I mean, it is completely, you cannot continue below minimums if you're not visual, but I just don't have the time to go around and quickly run around it if we hadn't messed around. But that was, the timing of this live stream event was 5 o'clock, so that's when I started the stream. I would have wanted to preferably stream 2 or 3 hours before, but I really wanted to get on the VATSIM event, and obviously that was a bit of a headache, as you all saw an hour ago. So that's why I'm under a little bit of time pressure, but we're fine. Flight Sim, notice that you've included your SID star in your flight plan. Is that normal? What remarks have you included for VATSIM ATC? So I use the sim brief format to file the flight plan for VATSIM, which I think just includes the SID and star, and it does on the Lido flight plan anyway. It's just based off the SID star on the flight plan. It's just based off forecast conditions. ATC will clear on whatever they want you to, so it can be different, but it's usually the same. But as you saw, we planned, well, if you didn't see at the start of the stream, we planned for 01 left for takeoff. It was in fact 19 left because I'm guessing the wind changed direction, or it's the preferred runway in Oslo. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, that usually comes up there. Cool. Mario Pluses, I learned so much from your videos. Keep up the great work. You're most welcome. Dead Man Dead Ender, do you know when ZIBO will add curved lines? I'm not 100% sure, I'm afraid. But I know there's issues with it being implemented at this time to frame rates. Mario also said, Captain, what would you do if both engines had to fail? Or that maybe the landing gear had to fail? Well, if both engines were to fail, as if to say right now, and no, I'm not going to do it right now, we have memory items to apply for a loss of thrust on both engines, alright? And these have to be done by memory. You'd move the start switches to flight, and you'd cycle... I'm going to just move the trim wheel there, that's why the autopilot disconnected with my mouse, because I was zooming in. You'd then cycle the start levers to cut off, and then when the EGT decreased... What's going on here? When the EGT decreased, we then put the start levers to idle detent, and then repeat that every 30 seconds if there was no increase in EGT. And this is an attempt to try and restart the engines. By putting them on flight, you get continuous ignition. Now, if there was clearly evidence of some serious damage, there was no zero, you had 0% N1 or N2 from, say, a bird strike, you'd be doing that in vain, you know. So your immediate prioritisation would be finding somewhere suitable to land, because you're now a glider. And what we've got here, we've got some airports here. This aircraft is very slippy. We do train crew every 3 years in the sim. We give them both double engine failure immediately after takeoff and a double engine failure at around 4,000 feet. And you have to decide, is it best to ditch, land on a field? What we want to do is minimise or maximise safety, minimise loss of life in this situation. So yeah, preferably a runway. If a runway wasn't available, ditching. If a ditching was available, some flat land, in that sort of order, really. But yeah, it's a serious situation. If the landing gear didn't go down, we've got checklists to deal with the gear. No memory items associated with that. But it's very unlikely you'll be able to not get the gear down. It can happen. There's lots of videos documenting that. You've got the normal hydraulic selection. You've got the manual gear extension down here, which just uses gravity and the ability for the gear to free fall to select the gear, which is just located behind the first officer. So you'd pull whatever gear you wanted. And then if we still can get the gear down, we do a precautionary landing. If it's a nose wheel, that's not going to be too bad. If it's a main gear, that's going to be an issue, because the aircraft's going to land on the pod and it could damage the engine. It could be, you know, risk of fire and stuff. And we'd probably plan for an evacuation after landing in that situation. But yeah, it's gear issues on the 800 are very, very rare. It's a brilliantly reliable aircraft, this one. Perfect. Emma Videos, greetings from Slovenia. Keep up the great work. Good evening to you. I'm afraid I don't know good evening in Slovenian. Fly of 2, I would like to try a double engine failure 737 from 4,000 feet. Yeah, it's quite an interesting one to practice. From a training perspective, when we do that in the simulator, we call this resilience training. And it's actually ungraded, so it gives the crew a bit of flexibility, no pressure to deal with that, because in these situations there's no checklist or guidance on these situations, you know. When Sullyberger and the US Airways Airbus had the double engine failure, there's no checklist that says, right, double engine failure, shortly after departure do this, land in the Hudson. You just got to react on instinct of training. So we allow crew to do that, we give them the freedom, right, here it is, we don't even tell them, fire it and just see how they do it. And they can have as many attempts as they wish, we give them different scenarios.
50, 40, 30.
Richard, have you ever flown into Leeds, Bradford in real life? The crosswind there can be quite challenging. Yes, I have flown into Leeds before, and yes, it is notoriously challenging for crosswinds. And don't quote me on this, but I was told once that Leeds was built by the Air Force to practice specifically crosswind landings, because the runway 1432 is against the prevailing wind in the UK. It's the prevailing wind in the UK is southwesterly. So it's exactly 90 degrees, so you always get crosswinds in Leeds. Right, so we're going to just whack it straight down to the procedural height of 2,500 feet, completely non-standard. And that's set, and we can immediately set the QNH, guys, just to get us moving. And we're in VNAV, so out into vent as well. Cool. Mark coming in with 5 Swiss franc again. Thank you very much. Fill up on the energy with some gingerbread. Have you ever flown into Funchal and Madeira? Well, thank you very much again for the tip. I haven't flown into Funchal, Madeira, but a very challenging approach. I'm well aware. Maybe a destination in a future stream. Perfect, so VNAV showing us slightly high. That's okay. Just be careful though, because it can dive for that pitch. You don't want to exceed MMO. We're all good for now. And we've got Jacob Pearl coming in with a new membership. He's going to get this really funky autopilot disconnect thing in a second, where it tricks me and stuff. Thank you so much for directly supporting the channel. I hope you enjoyed the custom emojis and content and private posts on the community tab as well. And hopefully more content for you guys in the future. Thank you very much for the direct support. Yeah, that... that's me and my... it's about as creative I can get making those things. It's pretty cool. Right, why has it gone to VNAV speed? Should be VNAV path. Interesting. There we go, back to VNAV path. Should have stayed in VNAV path, but I've cycled it in. Cool. So I think in this area here, yeah, look at that active sky. Look, it does redraw the clouds. I thought that hopefully would have fixed the issue. I thought that was just default explain. But from what I've read, it's still in its early days. Active sky, there's a lot more stuff that needs to be developed, even though it is a full version. Is it worth the investment? I couldn't tell you right now. So far, looks quite similar to default explain 11 weather. We'll see in the future. 39k, is there much force on the control column when flying? No, when you're perfectly trimmed out, there's no force, just on any aircraft, but if you're out of trim, yeah, it can be quite heavy. It can be quite heavy on the controls, and one of the things we teach in the simulator is a jammed stabilizer, where this jams, and then this has a little handle in it, you see here, handle which can pop out, and then you can treat it like a conventional trimmer, but that jams as well, and then it's like the Wright brothers aeroplane. If you slow down, you can't trim it, and it gets heavier and heavier and heavier on the controls. Perfect. Swapnil, can we use the Boeing APT and iPad for free, or do you need a special subscription? So yeah, this is a very common question on my tutorials, because obviously I implement that into some of them. I think it's only available if you're an airline that's paying God knows what fee as a subscription. So yeah, I'm just very fortunate to obviously I just overlay the EFB and use that in tutorials. I don't think it's available publicly. Is there a free version? I've heard of something called Top Cat, which people mention, but I'm not sure how realistic it is or how good that is. Perfect. So we're coming over Mimso. Jacob Pell, who's just become a member, is now donated $10. Thank you very much. Happy Christmas. Enjoy a pint after you land. Thanks for your generosity with the tutorial. So that's very, very kind, Jacob. I hope you enjoy, as I said, all your new membership perks and stuff. And I will enjoy a pint, albeit not tonight, because I do need to drive to work and go in the simulator. But tonight is just a bit of fun, really. I'm not doing it. I'm not rostered to do this. It's just a friend who left the company I work for, and he's now actually rejoined it for personal reasons. The airline he went to wasn't suiting him so much, so he's come back to us, and he wants to just go back into sim and go over some profiles, which I was more than happy to do. Awesome. So I was just making sure it's all correctly coded there. So you can see VNAV, the path It's on par for profile, but slightly high on speed. That's okay. We'll just carefully monitor that. And this is normally routine on the aircraft if your speeds are pretty off. Christopher Levin, how much variation do line pilots see in their routes? Do the same crew end up flying at the same airports, or do you get some variation in where you go? So it's pretty random. When it's very busy in the summer, everyone's usually limited by the amount of hours you can legally fly a month, so they'll schedule the flights accordingly, so you don't get over that. But no, it's all completely random. You might coincidentally fly with the same people for a few days or the same routes, but you get a good mix of long haul, short haul. You can't bid, it's all completely random. But you know, what you can do, if you have a family member who wants to jump seat or something, you can request and have to go through all the security checks and stuff. You have to write to the chief pilot. They can come in for the ride and stuff. It doesn't mean any of you guys get to have a lift with me, I'm afraid. It's only close family members that allow that to do. Hector, making a grease after this crazy hectic flight. Oh, pressure's on then. My last few streams have had terrifically terrible landings. We'll see how we get on. Oh, no pressure, huh? No pressure. Awesome. So I'll put the seatbelt sign on. God knows how busy it is on VATSIM now. I should think we're still holding exactly over where we were when we left VATSIM an hour ago, running on fumes, no doubt. That was crazy. That was absolutely crazy. Jet pilots, have you tried X-Enviro? I think it's the best looking payware for clouds. I haven't. I've heard of it. I haven't looked into it though, because I've always had my heart set on Active Sky, because I used it years ago on FSX, and I think Active Sky, I saw in a press release they haven't finished developing the clouds. They're coming next year and stuff. But I think the default clouds on X-Plane 11 look pretty good. I'm pretty chuffed with them. Cool. Pedro Diaz, what's the definition for airport in sight or visual? I'm flying in America and they use visuals a lot. So yeah, you got to be in sight of the runway if you want to. If you say you're in sight of the runway, that's what you'll need to be looking for. Perfect. Wicked. So, passing 15,000 feet, yeah, seatbelt sign on. And bizarrely, it's getting darker, even though it's 11:36 local in the sim. Hetty, have you heard about a new mod for the 747? Apparently it's like the ZIBO mod, but for the 747. No, I haven't heard of that. I don't know if ZIBO has any plans to make anything else. I think he's pretty tied up with the NG at the moment, the 800, but he's been quite busy the last week or so. Perfect. So, as we hear here, pretty routine approach really. Just got to make sure the aircraft speeds, the aircraft slows down as per the restrictions, which will be good to test in the mod. Sometimes it can be a little bit late. Decel point is very late again on here. But first, we need to make sure it slows down to do 240 knots below 100, which it should do very shortly. Cool, so yeah, it looks like the mod's slowing down, so I was just looking on my phone there. we should be away, obviously. It's critical phase of flight. 10,500, 2,500, slowing down to 240 knots. Should have been a decel point there, or 2 green dots at least for the 250 restriction, but doesn't appear to be there. And we can now do the post-cruise checks. So fuel, 4 pumps, pop all the lights on. APU's off, pressurization is all good and set. Seatbelts on, recall, bank angle 25 degrees. The post-cruise checks complete. Well, I said I could be, as long as I'm done by 8 o'clock. We should be all good, and it's, what's it, 20 to 8 in the UK now. So yeah, we actually made good timing now, which by the time I've checked out, we're all good. Pedro DS, has the X-Plane got snow textures? It doesn't, but I'm actually using a airport, it was a freeware add-on for this airport, from X-Fly, and he's actually textured in snow on the runways and the surrounding area, so the default X-Plane 11 doesn't have seasons yet. Harris K, what's the use of the fuel flow knob? Well, it's pretty self-explanatory. Now, you've got the fuel flow here anyway, but you can select it to use to see how much fuel you use. So we've used 5 tons of fuel today, or 5,040 kilos. So that's it. And then on the lower DU, it pops up and changes as well. But yeah, you can just, it shows the fuel flow by default. Perfect. Got Martin coming in with a new membership as well. Thank you very much for joining as a member, directly supporting the content on the channel. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoy your custom emojis and the community-only chat posts. Thank you very much. Hey Guy, can you explain the N1 function on the autopilot? Yeah, so we very rarely push it. Well, I've never pushed N1. It's just a mode that engages when you select certain climb modes, or toga. When you select level change, N1 engages. But you can select it to change N1 to speed if you wanted to change what type of, or what you wanted the auto throttle to command.
Minimums, approaching minimums.
Awesome. So, procedural approach. You can see we have the VOR active. So if you were to lose the FMC, you can still conventionally navigate. And you see I've already got the courses selected already, but you could use VOR center, and you see you have the green arrows there. Now if we had no FMC here, we could set the course for the outbound course in Rovaniemi, which was 001, so I could put 001 here and then fly it manually. But if you were to do that, you know, you'd have to keep it updated. It's the way they used to do it years ago, but you'd have to then keep updating it, and as you turn final, you'd have to quickly set the courses to the ILS and keep it all updated. So, you know, it's just minimising workload by, you know, having an FMC LNAV VNAV. It does make it considerably easier. So you can see here, you know, the mods worked quite well. It's slowed to 240 knots, going a tad fast. So what we'll do is just use a tiny bit of speed brake just to get our speed to our target speed of 240 knots. Shepard Nyakdu, what computer specs are you using? I'll show you. It's all in the video description below it as well. We can now stow the speed brake. So we're approaching our target speed. I think it's specs. It might be a different, or is it PC? Can't remember. There you go, they should pop up there, but if you look at the channel description, it should explain what we're doing down there. We've got Wojtek Liniski, sorry if I pronounced that completely incorrectly. He's just joined as a member. Thank you very much for the direct support to my channel. I hope you enjoy all the custom emojis. You can press token. I'll get some more for you as I get more members unlocked, and the community only posts as well. I'm going to try and provide more content or exclusive content for you guys in the future. So thank you very much for the direct support there. Wicked. So here's our little aircraft approaching Rovaniemi. If we were on VATSIM flying this particular approach, 80 would typically go, yeah, after the Rovaniemi VOR, you are cleared ILS Yankee approach report, turning final, you know, in this case here. They might want us to call overhead the VR as well.
Minimums, approaching minimums.
Brian Howard, I'm having landing rate issues with the ZIBO. Disconnect autopilot 500 to 300 feet, pitch up for the flare 50-30. Seems smooth, but still 300 to 400 feet landing rates. Pitch up the flare. You know, it depends on your rate of descent. If you're coming over nicely, you can kind of, if you watch my landing tutorial, check close hold technique, which I'm always stressing. If you apply that, you should be okay with the mod. Flap setting makes a big difference too if you're using 30 or 40. So if you want to be using 40, it could be a little bit more challenging in the real aircraft to land in. So I've just used a bit of speed brake because the mod should be doing 220 knots here as its new target speed, just to ensure we're there. And we're now flying outbound on the ILS Yankee procedure. Actually, it looks like we're going to be getting very low here. 24. Yeah, the mod's it's gone for these really shallow descent rates as well. So I'm just going to vertical speed. I mean, I'm just doing some quick maths here. So you see we're 20 miles away from touchdown based on this procedure. Ideally we should be at about 6,000 feet. We're around 4,300, so we're a little bit low here. Its VNAV path is planning a very, very shallow path for us at the moment. So really shallow it off so we don't level off here. Ghostfire, why are you not on VATSIM anymore? Well, we got 45 minutes into the... Well, it took us 45 minutes to get airborne to start with, because it was so busy. And then after being airborne for about 30 minutes, we hadn't travelled more than 50 miles. We were told to enter holds in the climb. They had no estimated approach time, so it was just crazy. Absolutely crazy how busy it was. Perfect. So, oh, engine anti-ice on. Don't forget that, guys. And wing anti-ice, you obviously we cannot simulate on a sim, even the full motion simulator, wing anti-ice. So you'd be looking for ice building up in the corners here where it's not heated. You'd look for ice on the bolts here as well. And let's imagine, yeah, we've got a little bit of ice on the bolts. If that was the case, we use this as a de-icer to remove any ice on the leading edge of the wing there. Cool. See. Jewett, where's the actual toga button on the 737, 747, 777? Well, I can't say for the other two, but I'm pretty sure it'll be the same. It's just here on the auto throttle. See this little black button there? That's what you push. It is actually modelled, so you push that. That's the actual button we push when we take off, set takeoff throttle, go around. It's modelled on the ZIBO mod here conveniently, so you can use that too. Alright, so let's select flap 1. And we better tune the ILS now as well. So frequencies are tuned, 1117, range rings we have in for runway 25 for departure, idents we have Romeo Oscar set, and the inbound courses of 207 are set as well, and the approach checklist is complete. We can now step down to 2,400 feet.
2,500.
Which is on the charts. So we go flat 5 now, just bring that speed under control. Just keeping vertical speed 500. The mod's saying we're a bit low, but I don't think that's quite correct.
1,000 to go.
Look, Shiggy Pilot, why is it so busy? When I fly, I can't find VATSIM coverage. I usually go to Pilot. It was absolutely mental. It was absolutely crazy. Someone said that when we were flying into Rovaniemi, which is a single runway with about 8 parking stands, there was 200 people flying inbound. I mean, it was crazy. If you look back in the stream when we took off, we had to wait. We had a 20-minute delay before takeoff, and we were entering holds shortly after departure. It was very bizarre, incredibly busy. So. Looks like the mod's cutting the corner slightly. It's kind of gone like this, but we'll keep an eye on it. Getting very, very low on the profile here. But yeah, that's now. The VNAV profile's probably more accurate. Initially said we're low, but that's probably where we should be now, 600 feet high. You see how the glide slope's there. So I'll just stick on a VS of 300. Alarm approach. I haven't even looked at the weather, guys, in Rovaniemi. It's probably bang on minimum still. Stand by. It is broken at 200. Ugh. Ropey. I would definitely want to do a Cat 2 in real life. We're not going to see anything until there. Guys, because of time's sake, I'm going to have to continue at minimums. Illegally, even if we're not visual. Bit into outer quiet. Oh, rubbish. No CDA for you there. So, there's... VNAV's bay is actually working now. So when I was initially going outbound, it was kind of under reading it. I should have probably stayed in VNAV to see how it worked. But I'd say that's now replicating our profile a little bit more accurately now. Oh well, can't really do the CDA anymore, but not to worry. See, Joe, I think you should do an auto landing. I definitely should, but the vote was clearly to do a Cat 1 ILN, Cat 1 ILS. I mean, it's broken at 200. We should see something. We'll see how correctly modelled it is. There we go. Out hold. So much for the CDA, but I don't know if CDA is exactly required into Rovaniemi. The mods really cut the corner here as well. Yeah, flipping heck. We're intercepting here at 5.6 miles. Never mind. Yeah, that's really cut the corner. Anyway, we're looking good. We'll configure it probably around now, just before 5 miles. So gear down, flap 15. Let's do the landing checklist. Start switch is continuous. Record checked. Speed brake. Arm green light, landing gears down 3 green, order brake is set to 3. Just holding on the landing flap, ISO capture, missed approach altitude, 2,500 feet is set. Just holding on the landing flap. Martin, let's hope your employers are watching. Yeah, I hope so too. But like I said, this is all do not exactly replicate what we do in real life on here, but I do my absolute best. Alright, so we'll select landing flap now. Flap 30, match speeds. The wind is 20 knots apparently. Yeah, 200 at 12, but we'll add 6 knots, half that, so VRF plus 6. And we're all good. Don't forget to set runway heading as well. Right, so flaps, we've got 30 required, 30 selected, green light, lights are on, the checklist is complete. Wicked. Alright, so missed approach altitude set, looking extremely ominous out there. Ooh, should I do it? I've got to do it by 800 feet. If you haven't done it by 800 feet R8, it won't engage. Broken 200. Extremely unprofessional.
1,000.
Should be doing an auto land.
1,000 feet stabilized, missed approach altitude set.
Excellent. Oh well, we'll see what happens. I might have to do
Approaching
a
2.
Cat 1 ILS in minimums. Ah, my professionalism is shouting at me, go around at minimums. I just don't have time, so I've really got to go, guys. I've really got to go. When are you going to disarm the autopilot? As soon as we're visual. Which is going to probably be really late. Really late. Oh, I'm not going to see anything yet, mate. I can't arm the second autopilot now. It's too late. Oh, this is going to be sketchy. I've so got to go. Cannot go around.
500.
Check. Ugh. Oh, look at that. Saved. Right.
400.
Disconnecting.
Approaching minimums.
Excellent. Oh, get the auto throttle back off. Minimums. We
300.
can continue. 3 whites, a slight change.
Minimums.
Continue.
200.
Keep it descending. Thrust is good. Speed's good.
100.
On the centre line.
50. 40. 30.
Check.
20.
Check. Ugh. Close. Hold the attitude. Oh, floating. Don't like that. Oh, that's not too bad though. Cool. Speed brakes up. Let's select reverse thrust. And go for as much as the model let me do, which is 50%. That was close. 100 knots, 80 knots. Just going to miss this exit here. 60 knots. Yeah, we'll go for the next exit. Cancel reverse, as stopping is assured. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Rovaniemi, where the local time, well, on the sim is 11:50 Zulu, but 19:50 Zulu if you are watching this live. Sorry again for those of you who have just joined the stream and have noticed I'm not on VATSIM, as well as it was extremely busy as I look at some of those comments there. Perfect. So we'll take this exit here on the left. We'll still do the replays and everything, because I know you guys like to see that. Awesome. So this scenery was completely free actually, it's quite cool. And it's got these like little nose marks, it's kind of simulating there's been a bit of snow around and stuff, which is wicked. Alright, slow to speed brake, flaps up, water brake 2 off. Yeah, I'm getting really good at this. I'm better at this than the real aeroplane doing the cleanup. Take a right here. Cool. got a message from ZIBO actually. He says, I've noted all the issues during the live stream, so he'll probably fix that before the end of the day, which is pretty cool. 3,100. Oh yeah, oh guys, I completely forgot. So in freezing conditions, in the snow, now if it's likely the flaps are going to get contaminated, we wouldn't retract the flaps up, we'd leave them in flap 15. Just so, you know, if you've got snow in all those flap cavities and then they retract, you're going to cause damage and stuff. So just for the sakes of time, at least I've explained it. And this we typically leave on until getting onto stand, but we'll imagine we're parking up for the night at least. Awesome, so we'll just cut the corner here, get the AP running. Wicked stuff. And we'll take the stand here. So yeah, this is a cool little freeway. I think it's missing the stand numbers and gate numbers, but this is why I like the Explain community. There's so much good content out there for you guys. Wicked. Bring the aircraft to a stop. Oh god, tug drive's going to be panicking. There we go. Parking brakes set. Just wait for the APU to start. I mean, you can see more time to do this. Now, if the APU's inoperative, which we can dispatch about, you just have to wait with one engine running with the GPU on the bus. So we can do that. At least we can shut the engines down now without losing all the AC power. Wicked. So start levers off. Do that to get the cabin crew doing their jobs. Don't forget to do that as well. Leave the probe heat on because we're in freezing conditions. Just do the transit checklist. Go. Anti-collision light off as well, and there we go. Where we are. Temperature minus, what is it now in Rovaniemi? -4. There we go. Freezing cold. GPU's on there. Let's get the APU on the bus. Keep the passengers warm as well. Wicked. So guys, let's have a look at some of the comments quickly, and then we'll do the replay because I love reading these comments after. You guys crack me up. Got a rest in peace emoji. Here we go. Do we set VRF +5? No, we do half the wind speed roughly. Get the pressure. You got this. Snow. If in doubt, float it out. This is crack me up. That puts me to shame. Do you like the slope runways? Yes, I do, CJ. I think it adds a lot of realism there. Wicked. Wait, is this snowing? Explain that. This is just a feature of this add-on. This airport. The guys textured on there. 50 feet over the threshold. Yes, I managed to crack that off there. All right, nice landing. All good. All good. Excellent. So, right, what we'll do, we'll. Oh no, we're already logged off to VATSIM. We'll put you in the replay, which we'll do here, and I'll cue the outro music. So we do this, do that. There we go. I love this outro music. Wicked. So let's get ourselves just above the threshold. There we go. Let's have a look at the landing from the threshold first. Good. Yeah, these effects are quite cool. Hopefully Explain will have this all in the future with the snow and seasons. Over the threshold. We love the jet effects. Look at that. Oh, a little bit more of a check. That wasn't that bad at all. Look at that on the centre line. That makes up for the last 3 streams. Certainly. Very, very good. Let's go back a bit. There's a tower view. Not really able to see much from here. Bit dark. I like this as well. It's like it's blowing the snow off the as well. I'm happy with that. I'll take that. Awesome, guys. So yeah, thank you very much for all of you that tuned into the stream today. Hope you found that interesting and learned something new. I'm very, very sorry about what happened on VATSIM earlier. Well, not to apologise or anything, but it was just far too busy. Had I got the time, we would have played along. We would have carried on holding. We would have diverted. Haven't got enough fuel. I've really got to get going now, guys. Because I'm going into sim very shortly with a friend to cover some stuff. So yeah, when am I going to stream next? I haven't got a date in mind. I'm going back to work for a few days. Christmas around the corner. I will try and get something done before Christmas. It'll be a very short impromptu stream, nothing serious or big. But anyway, thank you for everyone that tipped and donated today or became a member. I really appreciate that. It helps put a little bit back into the work I've done as well, which is very, very much appreciated. If you haven't done already, love to subscribe, love a thumbs up on the video as well, so it gets stood out. And if you haven't done so, keep an eye on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter, because I do like to post some content from real aircraft. Guys, have a great evening. I'll see you all very soon.